After 20 years, the Streets of Rage team is back.
Look, there's a delinquent gang member now. Get him.
Can I help you guys?
God, why are you beating up my fiancé? We were supposed to go to Whole Foods later.
Someone call my dad! Call your pimp daddy all you want, punk. We're not stopping until we defeat every gutter trash lowlife in this city. Lowlife? I make 6 figures developing smartphone apps.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rolling 20s. We are the show that saw today the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers got into a big brawl in the baseball diamond. Looks like everyone's fighting over Civil War. I am Jeremy.
Steve. Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and on Tumblr. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The music you heard at the beginning of the show is by Machina Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinasupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard was Streets of Age by Dorkly. You can find more of their videos on youtube.com under their channel of Dorkly. Oh, my goodness. This weekend has been way too busy for me. What have you guys been up to? Well, let's see. I got a surprise visit from my wife yesterday. Went out, had Japanese food. Watched a good couple hours of TV. Jessica Jones and wrestling with her each. This morning, because she was leaving in kind of a hurry, I took her out to a surprise visit to see Civil War. She hadn't seen it yet. And I managed to find a theater in my area that's one of those where if you pay an extra $1 or $2 per seat, you get those giant recliners. You haven't been to one of those?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a big theater, but it was actually not just a recliner. They were like love seat recliners. You could take out the middle arm and lean into whoever you're sitting with. If you guys want to do that, that's up to you. And everything, all the footrests were motorized. So you just hold down a button and the footrest would come up and the back would lean down. You could practically lay down and watch the movie.
Well, sounds like you had a good time.
Yeah, it was all right. Came back today. I've been binge watching Aldnoah Noah Zero because the latest season of anime has really been lackluster in my opinion. I've only been watching Macross Delta, and there is no U.S. release because of those stupid Harmony Gold copyrights that are still in big contention.
Yeah, I'm actually rather upset. I've been trying to catch up on some anime on Crunchyroll, and because Funimation owns Dagashi Kashi, I can't watch it on Crunchyroll.
Really? Because that series has been popping up pretty regularly in my Netflix feed. It keeps telling me I should watch it.
Yeah, I don't have Netflix, so that's the problem.
Yeah, I've been pushing against that because I'm not really interested in anime just about people eating sweets.
It's supposed to be more than that, but yeah. I did really enjoy Erased this season.
Haven't watched it. I was just discussing with Jesse before the show. My interest in anime is waning, not because I'm not interested in cartoons anymore, but because it seems like too many people are just really obsessed with the cutesy visuals above story anymore.
That is not the case with Erased.
Like I said, I haven't watched it.
Right.
It's just,
I'm just saying.
I am just overborne with series that have minimal story at best. And it's starting to grind my teeth a little bit. But then again, the biggest convention in the U.S. for it, Anime Expo, is not really that much of a convention anymore. It's kind of a shell of itself as it is. So maybe it's all leading in the same direction.
Well, you've been looking for an excuse to stop going to that.
Well, they still haven't approved my press application. They said I could apply again, and I did, and it's been almost 3 weeks, and they've said nothing. And it's almost sad that I am close to uninterested at all anymore. Because a few people in my social feeds have even said, Anime Expo's been on the decline. I just go to see other people. And I don't want to be that person that just types into every person's response, well, why don't you just go see them at other more interesting conventions then? There is that.
Yeah.
Shoot, dude, if all you're doing is going to Anime Expo to see people, you can do that just about anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Pick another convention that you're actually interested in and do it there. But I I digress.
The things you went through just kind of pales to what happened to me.
Why?
Well, the only exciting thing that happened to me this week is I've got a car now.
Oh, cool. Did the payoff in your last vehicle pay for it all, or are you financing?
Oh, I'm financing it.
Oh, how much was it?
Car was like 10,200.
Oh, did you put all your payoff into it?
I put 3,000 down on it.
Oh, okay. You're almost in the exact same situation I was when I had to replace my damn box. But, you know, is it a good car at least? What'd you get?
2013 Chevy Sonic.
Yeah, I don't really know that model. I despise going to buy cars, though. I hate the whole back and forth and people trying to get you into stuff you're not really prepared for and all that.
He was kind of lucky in that fashion.
Well, my boss, where the gas station work is also a used car lot, so I just go out when I'm not busy. I just go out, look at all the cars, you know, take down some information, do the research on my own.
Oh, okay.
I was caught between 6 different cars, narrowed it down to the Sonic and a Ford Fusion, and realized the Ford Fusion has some massive transmission problems, so
yeah,
that was out.
Okay, well, did you find the guy that hit your car and drive straight up his ass, or what?
No, he was actually pretty nice. He got out first and, you know, make sure I was okay. So, but I have nothing against him except the fact that why the hell did you come into my damn lane?
So you weren't at fault finally?
Nothing on record yet.
Jeez, it's taking forever. All right, Steve, what about you? Did you buy a car too, or what?
No, I'm still saving.
Oh. Okay.
It is a
there's
plan.
that.
But,
all right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, the subject of this week is not irredeemable. Astonishing Ant-Man 1 through 4. We'll get to that after we get through the news of the week. Irredeemable's the Eric O'Grady guy. That's a whole different kettle of fish. First off, Civil War. Marvel, actually Disney, must be doing a happy dance right now. The movie is finally out in all locations for the last 2 weekends, and so far it's pulled in over $900 million. It leapfrogged over Batman v Superman as far as yearly take already, and it's just 2 weekends in to its full release.
That was not hard. That is not hard.
I thought it'd be more difficult than that. I mean, I may not be a fan, but I will not look at $860 million and say, well, that's nothing. But yeah, they just shot right over it. The question right now is not really whether or not it's going to hit $1 billion. It's just a matter of when at this point.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of word from the Russos, the directors of the film, as to why the Vision was dressed like he was during his downtime in all those formal clothes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
According to the costume designer Judiana Makovsky, quote, "What would Jarvis wear? I thought he would be confident and elegant in his taste, almost perfect. So he decided to go into a look of the men of the 1940s, like Cary Grant. Very simple, flannel trousers, elegant cashmere sweaters," unquote.
Okay.
It's after everything we've read about this character recently, it's almost refreshing to know it was that simple of a decision. Because every time I look at him in that sweater vest, I just keep thinking about his poor family that's probably going to burn alive in the upcoming comic books. And it makes me melancholy just staring at the film. You know, I wonder how much Paul Bettany knows about the direction of his character right now in the pages.
Yeah, I'm
not sure he knows much.
Yeah, I'm not sure it really matters either, considering the separation between the two.
Probably. As far as Infinity War, or whatever it's going to be called when those movies come out in 2018 and 2019, the screenwriters, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, have described it to the LA Times as, quote, "It's probably all hands on deck. Don't you assume you'll see everybody in Infinity Wars?" unquote. So
well, they said that they're going to have how many, heroes and whatnot in it? It's
not heroes, but last count was 67 different characters from the Marvel Universe will be within the film.
Yeah, so I mean that's...
And Samuel Jackson has said that will be where Nick Fury reappears in the Marvel Cinematic.
Huh.
So it just makes you wonder because that cast is expanding as they move into casting other movies at this point. As a matter of fact, Sharon Stone recently said that she is going to do a Marvel movie of some sort.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't say what role she would have or whether or not she would be starring, but she was on Thursday's Late Late Show, and the host, James Corden, asked him if she'd consider playing a superhero movie given the popularity of the genre, and all she said was, quote, "I am going to do a Marvel movie," unquote. To which Corden asked, "Is this some kind of exclusive?" And she responded with, quote, "I'm just doing a wee part in a Marvel movie upcoming. And I can't tell because, we have to sign confidentiality agreements. But I'm going to do a wee part in a movie. That's all," unquote.
All right. But, I mean, that's still kind of like, you heard it here.
Yeah, some people are looking into the weird choice of word of we. So some people are starting to assume that she may be playing the role of Janet Van Dyne in the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp film. I think they're...
Yeah, I
that
think
might
that's
be
a
a
bit
stretch.
Of a stretch.
Yeah.
That's like when people tell me, those 5 guys in the in Civil War, they were going to be the Thunderbolts. It's like, dude, you are really trying too hard right now. I've seen several people come up with that. There's 5 of them, and there were 5 other Thunderbolts with Zemo when he first formed the team. It's like, that's great, but did you know then the original story of the Winter Soldier, he wasn't the only Winter Soldier? Oh my God, what could they be now?
Oh, right now they're corpses.
Well, casting is underway for the Black Panther film, and it's apparently moving full speed ahead. There have been 2 major castings announced and a bunch of rumors. Right now, it's been said that Lupita Nyong'o, who's appeared in several films recently, if not in face, then definitely in voice, and as characters like what's her name from The Force Awakens. I fracking forget. She was the small orange alien.
Oh, gotcha.
Maz something, I think.
Yeah, Maz.
Well, she's being cast in an unknown role, or at least in talks to being cast in Black Panther. I have no idea what she could conceivably be at that point. But somebody who says that they're already in the film, apparently. Believe it or not, Marvel has now recruited 2 Human Torches into their films. First it was Chris Evans.
This article.
Now it's Michael B. Jordan. He has been cast in a very likely a villain role in the upcoming Black Panther film. So, go figure, man. Apparently, as soon as the Fantastic Four come to an end for another reboot is when they pick up the latest Human Torch and say, maybe we can use this.
How it did for Captain America.
Hey, I was the first one to say, Chris Evans, God, he can't do dick. Why would you ever want him? And then I saw the first movie. Okay, I'll shut up. I've learned my lesson. But as far as rumors go, one of the other villains potentially in Black Panther might be Black Dynamite himself, Michael Jai White.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
I can see him pulling off a villain.
I'm not very big on the Black Panther mythos. I remember reading the name he was rumored to be in, but it's not something I remember offhand. Not everything Marvel does is apparently a winner, though. They lost 2 TV series this week.
Oh, which ones?
Yeah, I heard about this.
Marvel's Most Wanted, the spinoff with the Mockingbird and Lance Hunter.
Uh-huh.
The pilot was ordered, but whatever they saw, they apparently didn't like it, and ABC decided not to pick it up this period. It's unknown where that leaves the characters who were supposed to star in it at that time. But also, with the neck firmly on the chopping block this season, they decided to pull down the guillotine on Agent Carter.
Okay. We kind of were thinking that might happen.
There were a bunch of people upset on social media, and I get it. It was kind of a tough loss, even if you're only a moderate fan of the show, because of how different the show was. However, I do think it was kind of overblown when people started screaming, "They killed Agent Carter twice this week!" Because of the show and the movie.
Yeah.
So, that was a little cruel. Even if you were sad, that was a bit cruel. In more positive news, though, when it comes to the Netflix arm, it's been announced that when Jessica Jones wraps up Season 2 of filming, right after that, supposedly, is, according to Kristen Ritter, when The Defenders picks up filming.
Wow, she's not going to get a break, is she?
Doesn't seem that way. She told Digital Spy herself, quote, "They'll be back to back. I don't know if they'll overlap a little bit. It's about to be a serious undertaking. I'm starting my physical training. Lots of weight training and boxing, unquote. She went on to say, quote, Marvel has this grand plan. Luke Cage will come out, then Iron Fist. In terms of scheduling, I don't know how it will all come out, and I can't even tell you if I filmed Luke Cage. But I'm very excited for Mike to have his own show. I know the tone of that show is going to be very different, unquote. I like how she said, I can't even tell you if I filmed Luke Cage. How many times have we said on this show, that's not a no? You know, it's just an I can't tell you.
That's plausible deniability.
Yeah. And she ended the interview with a paragraph, quote, I'm excited to see what happens next for Jessica, and at the end of the season 1, left a lot of doors open and questions unanswered. Kilgrave was her reason for getting up every morning. Saving people gave her purpose. I wonder how emotionally taxed she's going to be now. That opens up a lot of doors as to who will come out and play. We all live in the same universe, so there are endless possibilities, unquote.
Yeah, and given how much they're sticking to the actual sources, there could be really up to any villain we probably haven't heard of in years.
If there is any character who would just be exasperated by how weird her world is, it would be Jessica Jones. I could see her just kind of kicking off the blankets in her office loft, just going, fucking ninjas again. Now, this is news I'm almost not surprised about, but I am very surprised about. Because the producer of the Fantastic Four films for Fox, Simon Kinberg, says that last year's flop movie is not stopping him from wanting to make a sequel closer in tone to the comic books.
Of course.
Yeah, quote, we didn't make a good movie, and the world voted, and I think they probably voted correctly. And you can't make a good movie every time out. Not everybody does. Although I would argue you haven't done it in a while.
Exactly.
We actually have a pretty good batting average, all things considered.
Really?
Crack is good.
Really? The Fantastic Four?
Crack must be fun. But I think we made many mistakes when we made that movie. Mistakes that we learned from and we wouldn't repeat, unquote. Now, I will admit that. When they changed the Fantastic Four, they made a brand new set of mistakes.
That is true. That is true.
Quote, we want to make another Fantastic Four movie. We love the cast. I mean, if I were to say to you now, Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller and Kate Mara and Jamie Bell are great actors, we love the cast. I love the comic. I mean, I love it almost as much as X-Men. We try to be truer to the essence of the tone of Fantastic Four, which is completely, well, not completely, but largely distinct from the X-Men, which is brighter, funnier, and more optimistic tone. I think we tried to make a darker Fantastic Four movie, which seemed like a radical idea, but we were kind of messing with the DNA of the actual comic instead of trusting the DNA of the comic, unquote. Now, hold on there.
Like gene splicing there, man.
No. They made a tone that was very similar to Ultimate Fantastic Four, which, you gotta admit, during its first run, the first 3-4 years were very solid storytelling and much darker than the standard comics. A dark Fantastic Four is a workable story. What they made, though, was a hodgepodge that didn't work because you could almost see the seams of it coming apart as you watch the movie. They didn't make a watchable film because they didn't make an unwatchable film because it was dark. They made an unwatchable film because it's an unwatchable film.
Yeah.
I can't weigh in on Fantastic Four because the only evidence I have of it being a bad movie is secondhand knowledge and the box office numbers. I've yet to see the movie myself, and I'm not sure I will.
I've seen little snippets because people have been nice enough to send me codes and just say, you really have to see the movie just to get an idea of it. It's like, I'm not going to like it. Then the response is, oh, we don't expect you'll like it. We just think you should see it. So I get a few minutes of it here, a few minutes of it there, and then I think to myself, I would really much rather have such a bowel movement that is so violent and painful, I would immediately be able to speak Swahili than watch this film.
Wow.
So I just can't get very far in it because everybody seems so bland and out of place. It almost seems like the actors are pissed off that somebody yelled, roll it. Speaking of Fox and their movies, though, they have confirmed recently that Wolverine 3 will be an R-rated film taking place in the future. According to producer Simon Kinberg, who we just heard with his grand ideas and problems with a Fantastic Four movie, quote, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about that. I will agree with you that Patrick Stewart was rumored to be a part of the film. It takes place in the future, and as you and others have reported, it is an R-rated movie. It's violent. It's kind of like a Western in its tone. It's just a very cool, different film, unquote. I'm starting to get really worried with this guy's quotes, because I think of Wolverine in a Western. No.
For some reason, I'm getting an Old Man Logan vibe or something.
Dude, no, not even that. I mean, Western, I think Gambit, frankly. I think Bishop. I think Cable. I don't think of Wolverine when it comes to Westerns. When I think of Wolverine in alternative films, I think of him in stuff like Predator, okay?
Yeah, whenever you say draw with the word Wolverine, it's kind of like, okay, so he's painting the walls in somebody's blood? You know what?
I just have this
carving something with his claws.
Somebody, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you yell draw, and I have an image of Hugh Jackman on his knees in the dirt. Kitty. I'm really starting to get worried that Fox just doesn't really know what to do with these properties anymore. They seem to be experimenting an awful lot with things they had prior success in. It's weird. I mean, the first Fantastic Four films with like Jessica Alba and stuff, they weren't mind-bending art, but they at least made back their money. And Fanfourtastic or whatever the frick they did with Miles Teller and Kate Mara, it seemed like they just played with it too much. Now you've got the X-Men films, which X-Men Apocalypse looks to be grandiose in scale. It's like much bigger in scale than Batman v Superman or Civil War, but it also seems like it's going to be the biggest bowl of melted pudding you could imagine.
Still gonna watch it, but no, don't have high hopes for it.
Well, that's okay, because apparently they are taking a page out of someone else's book. It has been confirmed that X-Men Apocalypse has post-credit scenes. Okay. They haven't said what it is or what characters it involves, but if you leave before the credits finish, you may miss something else, apparently. All we know is that some character will be introduced in the post-credits, and one of them will be related to the Wolverine film. According to, again, writer-producer Simon Kinberg, they really got to put a gag on this man. Quote, "It's a node towards potentiality, a lot of different movies. I mean, certainly the Wolverine movie is related to what happens at the end of it, but there's also another character that's introduced, at least in name, in the tag, and he could show up in any host of different X-Men films. Maybe a Gambit movie, maybe another X-Men movie," unquote.
For some reason, my mind's leaning toward Deadpool, but I don't think they're going to do that.
There could, if it's the end of an X-Men movie and it has to do with other movies down the line, it could be Cable. That's a possibility.
Yeah,
maybe Wolverine 3 is where they're going. Maybe Wolverine 3 is where they're going to introduce Cable if it takes place in the future, and then he has to time hop back to Deadpool 2, something like that. I may be talking out my sphincter. But then again, I guess I may be thinking a little too logically for what Fox is putting together lately, so... Last up in Marvel Media news, it has been confirmed by Simon Kinberg, again, writer-producer Simon Kinberg, that the next X-Men film, not Apocalypse, but the one after it, is going to take place in the 90s, quite possibly in space.
Are we doing Dark Phoenix?
They keep talking about it and alluding to it. I don't know. After watching the promos twice in the last week ahead of Civil War when it comes to X-Men Apocalypse, I am very much convinced that scene we saw, I think it was a couple weeks ago, of the X-Men in their more comic book style costumes, that's got to be an end of movie thing. Every other scene I've seen them in has to do with them in either their regular clothes or those nondescript body armor dealies, you know? So I'm convinced that scene of the 5 of them in that danger room is them in their final costumes at the end of the movie. Like, this is how they survived. Another clue. In the background behind Mystique, you can see bald Professor Xavier sitting at the doorway. You notice in all those promos, he wasn't bald.
Right.
So, I'm positive this is end of film. Sorry. Spoilers out there for all you who are climbing up my nuts right now. Next up is DC media news. We talk about the DC properties that are ending up everywhere but the comic book pages. Bless you. First up is the news that Wonder Woman has wrapped filming.
Really?
Yeah, they just finished filming in the past week. I think it started not long before Batman v Superman actually came out. Because if you remember when we saw that special, they also had footage of the Wonder Woman film that was completed. They had to have been working on that for a little bit.
Huh.
So as of May 11th, this past Wednesday, they wrapped filming. They sent out a congratulatory tweet. Let me see. The director, Patty Jenkins, said, quote, "So happy and excited to have wrapped the first Wonder Woman film. And one William Marston's birthday, no less, who is the creator of Wonder Woman. What an incredible cast and crew. So grateful to them. And going to miss being with Gal Gadot every day. What a shining star of a person. Good, kind, strong, and impressive, and what a performance. Gal is Wonder Woman for real," unquote. That's a very nice endorsement. However, at the same time, I almost... She was speaking so kindly about Gal Gadot, I wonder if she's just going to miss being tied up in the lasso of truth every day.
I was just like, okay, that's a glowing endorsement, but I think I'm going to come down with diabetes in a second.
Oh, just wait, she went on, quote, "And Chris Pine is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. He blew my mind and became one of my favorite humans. Mind-blowing talent and what a special spirit. Gal and my best friend and partner, beginning to end. I love these guys and the whole cast and crew," unquote. Dude.
She's either repressing or...
or diabetic.
Yeah.
So, Gal Gadot has some nice things to say, too. Wonder Woman is scheduled to come out June 2nd, 2017. So now the post-production begins.
Okay, yeah.
It's a lot of time for
wasn't
those.
thinking it was coming that quickly for some reason.
Yeah, maybe it's because we're all thinking, pretty soon that guy in the gigantic red cape with the Eye of Agamotto, and then after that, the aliens are back for another film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was
go
actually
figure.
kind of surprised me when I looked up the Marvel
schedule.
And I was like, wait, Black Panther doesn't come out till 2018? Holy crap.
No, Black Panther, then Infinity War, then not long after that would be Captain Marvel, then the second Infinity War. Man, it's starting to get packed up with Marvel films. Pretty soon they may have to, actually figure out how to lay this thing out a little closer in time, as if they need to. It has been announced this week officially that there will be Batman Return to Arkham bundles coming for the current generation consoles on June 10th. The bundles will bundle together Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City for people who weren't able to play them on the previous generation of consoles. There is no word as to the price of the bundle. However, there were some early indications that it might be as little as $25 for the two games together. And those games would come with the associated DLC that was released over time during their releases.
Also Game of the Year editions.
Might be a
That's a
deal
sweet
if you
deal.
haven't touched them before. As much as I'm not a fan of the Batman characters, the
These games are awesome.
The games I've really
well,
enjoyed too.
the Rocksteady games were awesome. The side games that Warner Brothers put out was a little bit of a disappointment. Arkham Origins, but the 3 Batman Arkham games made by Rocksteady were really solid games. If you guys disagree, fine. That's what I know.
No,
we're not disagreeing. We totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I have to put in the caveat that I have not played the third Arkham game.
I would say I would let you borrow it, except I bought it digitally.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Which means you'd have to be over my shoulder or borrowing my account for a while.
And it's
Yeah,
completely
honestly, I'll
unplayable
probably just
on,
wind up buying the
PC.
game of the year.
Well, it's completely
actually-
unplayable on PC.
Well, there is one other caveat. Remember, in about 2 months, we're going to be face-to-face with everybody. I could just upload my profile to whichever Xbox we're using it during that weekend.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe you should bring your terabyte drive.
Yeah, I probably will.
All right.
Well, word has it that the Justice League movie might have a different villain than most people expect.
Okay.
Word is, instead of going with the obvious teasers during the first film in the DC Cinematic Universe of Darkseid everywhere, instead, during the first Justice League movie, they may go with Steppenwolf, the character that was cut out of Batman v Superman.
Okay.
I actually like that more than the idea of Darkseid.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of starting with Darkseid myself. This would be like the umpteenth time in my history that the Justice League has started with Darkseid in some format. I don't know. Steppenwolf almost seems like the same thing of a different name. The character of Steppenwolf, as I found out, is Darkseid's uncle in the comic books. A master general. So he's another new god. Or apocalyptic god, or whatever the heck you want to call him. But hey, we've discussed before, I'm not a DC fanboy, so this could speak to a whole different group of people than me. Warner Brothers has moved one of their Mystery 2020 films.
Oh?
One of the untitled DC films scheduled to started to open in June 19th, 2020, was suddenly moved to July 24th, 2020. There is no real reason given for the move other than it might interfere with other Warner Brothers films, but we still don't know what exactly is supposed to go in that spot.
Wait, what was it moved to?
From June 19th, 2020 to July 24th, 2020.
Isn't that coinciding with Comic-Con of that year?
Potentially, but we don't know the dates of Comic-Con 2020. If you remember, during years when the Olympics occurs, Comic-Con schedule gets a little bit screwed up. 2020 would unfortunately be one of those years. So it's kind of a question. However, in news that's making fans very happy, Supergirl did not get renewed for a new season on CBS because, as we discussed, the cost was just too much for him. The CW has managed to pick up the second season of Supergirl. So the production of the show is being moved to Vancouver to cut costs. They're still looking to cut the overall per episode cost of $3 million.
Wow.
But it's unknown whether this move means that the show will be moved within the same universe as the current Flash and Arrow shows, although that's a pretty solid indicator it likely will be. The one question I have is something we brought up before on the show, is if you move Supergirl into this universe, how do you take care of the issue of Superman? Not to say it's an unrealistic character, or not even that he's had a heavy impact in Supergirl as it is now. The problem is that the Arrow and Flash have both run for a while pretty firm on the idea that they are the lone superheroes in their universe at this point. You would think somebody would have noticed the last couple decades that this giant blue thing keeps flying around if he existed in the same universe. So they would have to figure out how to fix that narrative if they move Supergirl within it. Wouldn't it be just evil if in this move they decide to repackage it to end that problem? They move her into a new universe and just rename her Power Girl? That would almost fit along with DC's Comics narrative, frankly. One character has exited the anthology show Legends of Tomorrow, and that is Wentworth Miller, the man who plays Leonard Snart, a.k.a. Captain Cold in the shows. He's now moved off the show as a series regular, but Greg Berlanti, who runs the production on all DC shows for the CW, said that he will be a regular appearance in other DC shows on the CW network. According to Online Trade magazine, Wentworth Miller was never meant to be a permanent addition to the Legends of Tomorrow. Berlanti pitched him a flexible arrangement where he would recur on multiple shows simultaneously as the Leonard Snart character.
Okay.
So, if he was your reason for watching the show, you got a problem. Did you guys see this week's episode of The Flash, actually? It was a very emotional episode.
I'm sure Jesse did.
Yes, I did. That was a really good episode.
This was the episode directed by Kevin Smith.
Correct.
Yep, I saw that.
He's actually been getting a lot of critical praise for this episode, too. A lot of people liked it.
It was really good.
Well, Smith will be the first one to tell you they picked an episode that works to his strength because he's so dialogue heavy, and they purposefully picked an episode for him to do that was very dialogue heavy. He's been invited back to do a few more episodes of The Flash for next season because even the people on the production cast seem to really like the energy he brought and his attitude. Apparently on the show, they very rarely had actual fans of the material on the show before working as director. But because of that, Kevin Smith has said recently that he would like to make one of the characters he created for DC Comics and take him into the Arrow show if he could.
I heard about that.
You guys remember from when we listened to the Comic-Con Theater, the character of Onomatopoeia?
Yep. It'll be interesting to see that one be brought into the fold.
Yeah, apparently Steve lost his mic or something.
Really?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you at all for a few minutes there.
Oh, maybe that's what that pop was.
Onomatopoeia is a strange character who spends his time hunting superhumans for unknown reasons, but he doesn't talk when he's hunting. All he does is act out the sounds of things occurring around him onomatopoetically. So there's still a lot of mystery about the character in the comics as far as I know. I don't think we've ever been told his real name. The character would be a very good Green Arrow villain, though.
Hmm.
Wouldn't
But
really
doesn't
work on
he
the...
hunt down metahumans, though?
Typically, no. In his history, he hunts down very low-powered people. If you remember in the comics, he specialized in trying to get like Green Arrow and Batman and several other characters who had no powers.
Okay.
NBC has ordered the DC Universe sitcom Powerless to a full season. Show hasn't come out yet. The show will star Danny Pudi, Alan Tudyk, Vanessa Hudgens, and Christina Kirk. It's the comedy series about an insurance company in the DC Universe.
I wonder now that they've canceled Castle if they can get him on that.
I would rather see him cast as Booster Gold, frankly.
Yeah, I think he could pull that one off.
Yeah. And Sci-Fi has given a full green light for a pilot on the prequel series Krypton. Still don't know about that as a TV show. I could think of a lot of other things I would rather see.
Yeah.
You know, I was really excited when I heard that they renewed Dark Matter and Killjoys, two of their original shows. I'm like, great! And now we're coming out with a prequel of Krypton. Why?
Success of Gotham, maybe? I don't know.
I know people... I don't know if I'd call what that show is a success. I mean, people are watching it, but it seems like half the people are watching it for the same reason you watch NASCAR. You just want to see stuff go wrong.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Next up, we have general media news. We talk about geeky properties that will end up in multimedia that are not Marvel and DC related. And the biggest news this week, when it came to new videos, had to be the Assassin's Creed trailer coming out. Not for any new game, the first movie based on the series of games.
Oh, that's real? I thought it was some kind of joke.
Oh, no, they've been working on it.
Wow. Okay, yeah, the trailer came out. It's an official
Facebook, so.
Yeah, it's an official trailer starring Michael Fassbender, and I've got it for you guys.
Sure.
All right, I sent the video. It's a Green Band trailer. No swearing in this one.
Plenty of violence, though, as I remember.
Yay! Oh. Ubisoft. It always sounds weird to hear that, Ubisoft. It's like it's just saying, you know, your penis is soft all the time.
At 6 p.m. yesterday evening, you were executed and pronounced dead.
Looks pretty good for an executed man.
You no longer exist.
He looks pretty real for somebody that doesn't exist.
Do you think maybe they just put the IV in the wrong place? I mean, Michael Fassbender's supposed to have Liam Neeson-style problems.
You're about to enter the Animus. What you're about to see, hear, and feel are the memories of your ancestor, who's been dead for 500 years.
Why'd they put blades on his arms?
Your past.
I guess he's supposed to be reenacting.
I understand reenacting, but he doesn't need to put blades on his arms if he's going to be in full VR anyway.
I don't understand.
And who decided on Kanye West for the goddamn soundtrack?
Yeah, that was the one annoying thing about this.
I found several annoying things about this when I watched it. The physics seems to be a little bit off at times.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, you know, a guy that can jump off of like 7-story skyscrapers into a hay bale and fine.
What? You can't do that?
Pretty sure no.
Oh.
Never done it personally, so.
Well, that explains a ruptured disc in my back.
Serve the light. We are assassins.
Did you see the superhero pose landing?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. No.
I'm rather disappointed there was no eagle cry.
Okay, yeah, first of all, whoever decided that Kanye West should do the soundtrack for that trailer really needs to have one of those popping blades like right under the chin, first of all. Secondly,
that's too quick.
Secondly, like I said, the physics seems a little off, and I don't mean about the leaps. It's just some of the landings seem a little soft and dodgy. And I will send you guys a GIF of that woman that you saw in the middle of the trailer taking on two guys at once.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a good look, they really need to do some editing here because it doesn't look like she connects with half the stuff she swings. And if you take a look at the very end of the GIF, the guy behind her, when she pops that blade into his chest, he slides sideways off the blade like it's not even there.
Where's the GIF at?
Let's see. It's right there at the top of the page.
Oh.
Are you talking about the one on the left or the right?
On the left.
Oh, yeah.
See, falls sideways.
Now.
The blade's not real.
I know the blade's not real, but it's a movie, damn it. But at the same time, if that's extended into his chest, why would he fall sideways?
I don't think it's physically there.
No, it's not.
Again, I understand that. It's called a special effect for a reason. You don't want to impale your actors. But that's not the way he would fall if that was in his chest. He wouldn't fall sideways or straight down like that.
No, yeah, he wouldn't. He should fall backwards.
Mm-hmm. Like the man on the right did.
Yeah. They also need to, well, I'm sure it's pre-production, so they need to edit in some blood, but, you know.
I don't know about that necessarily because that was a finished trailer. That wasn't like a promo trailer. So, you know, like I said, I've got concerns about the film.
Yeah. And then when she, like, does the knife hand to the guy on the right.
Oh, yeah, total whiff.
There's no blade. Well, and there's no blade there, or he would have lost his throat, but then all of a sudden there's a blade there. Yeah,
I know. Just whiffed.
Whatever. I honestly, I don't watch action movies that closely.
Should really enjoy those Steven Seagal films then. The sequel to Godzilla has lost its actor. Not its actor. It's lost its director. Yeah, it's lost its actor. Godzilla decided to walk off the set today.
The director probably caused some difficulties.
It was in the news. No, the director of Godzilla 2, Gareth Edwards, has dropped out of the film. One reason for that could be that he is currently in post-production on Star Wars Rogue One.
Ew.
He's a little bit busy. The Hollywood trades are all describing Edwards leaving the film as amicable. He wanted to focus more on his own smaller in scale projects after the Star Wars film. So he just had other stuff he would like to do, basically. There is a director who signed on to a project, though. A man named Rob Letterman. He recently did the Goosebumps film. He's been tagged to be the one to do the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. Before you groan, this isn't one of those original stories where it seems like a bunch of people just sat around a table and tried to come up with bullcrap once they rolled dice. This movie is supposed to be more or less based on the Forgotten Realms. Word is that it will be the story of Driz Duerden that they're working on adapting.
Interesting.
So I don't know any other directing credits this man has done other than Goosebumps at this point. The script itself was done by David Leslie Johnson, who did the second Conjuring film, Orphan, and Wrath of the Titans. Dungeons and Dragons, there's no release date, although it's expected that because they hired a director right now, they could have the movie in theaters in early 2018. In other news, the CW has ordered another comic book show, although this one is not DC related. It's Riverdale. They've ordered the new Archie series for a full season. Let me see. According to John Goldwater, the Archie Comics publisher and CEO, quote, "This is a historic moment for Archie Comics, and I couldn't be more proud. It's a culmination of my time here, and I'm eager to see Greg Berlanti, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, the CW, Warner Brothers Studios, and the cast bring Riverdale to viewers every week. My promise to fans? You ain't seen nothing yet," unquote. I understand the energy behind what he said there when he said you ain't seen nothing yet, but I almost expect that to be a Simon Kinberg. Hey, we're bringing another Fantastic Four. You ain't seen nothing yet. you know,
I know, we saw plenty of the last three.
I would like to see a modern Riverdale. That could actually be very cool and kind of refreshing considering all the superhero and sci-fi shows the CW has lately. But can only reserve judgment until I see it. Now, did you guys see the second trailer that was released for the new Netflix Voltron show?
Yes.
I did not.
The show starts on June 10th, man. It is right around the corner. And I watched the trailer. It has a very Avatar The Last Airbender feel to it.
Yes, it does.
Hopefully the cartoon and not the live action.
Oh no, the live action. This should be interesting.
Oh God.
No, I'm kidding. Of course, the cartoon.
Initially, I saw this a still shot of the characters. I thought, wait, this looks really bad. Then I actually saw the trailer.
Yeah, Jesse, he already makes judgment on shows based on the first word they type. That's it. I'm done.
Yes, I'm very vain.
Anything with the in front of it is dead to me.
That's how I spell dead, so that's why it's dead to me.
Why I hated the Avatar.
The Avatar. Don't get me started on Dark Shadows. Never saw it. Hated it. I sent the video.
All right, look alive, team.
Oh, he wanted to start dead, man. Dead.
And there she blows.
Can anyone point out the mistakes these three made in the simulator?
The engineer puked in the main gearbox. Sorry. We shouldn't be for someone in a space exploration program, you don't have much of a sense of adventure.
I've been scanning the
That's
system
fair.
and picking up alien radio chatter. They keep repeating one word. Voltron.
Oh, I thought it was douchebag.
It is time to reclaim what is rightfully ours.
Yes.
Oh, I heard that voice before.
The universe.
Guys.
Yeah, that was right before he locked me in the closet and slid pancakes under the door.
Whoa.
Blue one.
Yeah, Lance really reminds me of Jet.
What was the same voice actor?
It sounded familiar.
I don't know. His English is better than Jet Li's.
Where are we?
No, Jet
You
from...
five were brought
Avatar.
here
I
for
know
a
I'm being an
reason.
ass. Jeez.
Together, you will form Voltron. The greatest weapon ever known.
5 dudes shoving shafts into lions. Yeah, this is going to be very gay.
And our only hope to save the universe.
Just like boxing? Oh, wait.
Jeez, no pressure.
Totally like boxing.
Defenders of the universe, huh? It's got a nice ring to it.
So, which one of you is dying so the woman can take over?
Legendary Defender.
The guy in the black uniform.
Episodes June 10th, only on Netflix.
Oh, stop being so logical.
I don't know. Opinions?
I like it.
I could see watching this.
Okay, well, the full season comes out June 10th on Netflix. The team behind the Insidious film is going to do a new comic book movie. They're going to adapt a werewolf comic called Curse into a film. Curse was made in 2014 by Boom Studios. It was written by Michael Moresi and Tim Daniel. It was illustrated by Colin Lormier and Riley Rossmo at the time. It's supposed to follow a widowed father who captures a man for a reward he thinks is going to help cure his sick daughter. Problem is, the man he captured is a werewolf, and now the father has to figure out if this thing can help save his family or not.
Oops.
The studio that picked up the movie rights is Blumhouse Studios. No writer or director has been attached as of yet. Do you think if you capture... Do you have to teach a werewolf to stay on the paper? That could be fun. Disney Parks apparently is changing one of the rides in some of their parks. Do you know the infamous Tower of Terror? The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror in the California Adventure Park.
Yeah, it's a dead drop ride.
Yes, it is getting a facelift to coincide with a movie coming out next year. Apparently, they're changing the theme of the ride so that it's going to be very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. But that necessarily wasn't the story. The story that I got when I was reading through Newsarama's article was that this will be part of a multi-year plan adding more Marvel in the Disney parks, including talk of a Marvel Mega Coaster.
Huh.
I don't know where that could lead. I know that California Adventure, I believe, is the only one with a Twilight Zone Tower of Terror outside of another one that's been adapted, I want to say in the Florida parks because they're huge, you know. But if it's going to be a multi-year plan where they're adding more Marvel rides, I don't know where they could do that in the California area outside of California Adventure because there's a lot of space to work with out there. There is much less space in the Disney parks now that they're building the Star Wars Gargantua up near Toontown. Matter of fact, I was out there on May 1st, and I got a chance to poke around the area. they're finally going to create a continuous loop from Critter Country all the way around where you can walk through the Star Wars area into Fantasyland, so it won't dead end up there anymore.
It's been so long, I can't really picture it.
Basically, now there will be no dead ends other than Toontown in the park, which is at the far northeast corner of the land that the park sits on. You're going to get a good look at it in a few months.
True.
Another comic book series is back in development as a potential TV series, Lock and Key. Lock and Key is an IDW comic book. It was created by one of its writers, Joe Hill. Hill said in a statement, quote, "I love this story. The 7 years I spent working on Lock and Key was the happiest creative experience of my life, and there still isn't a day when I don't think about those characters and miss visiting with them. The 6 books of the series are very like 6 seasons of a cable TV series, so it feels only natural to bring it to the world of the little screen to see if we can't scare the pants off viewers everywhere," unquote.
Interesting.
Lock and Key has been in development twice before, the latter time with DreamWorks going as far as filming a pilot that Fox passed on at the time. Universal Pictures has now optioned Lock and Key as a 3-part film trilogy, but those rights lapsed. I don't know where Lock and Key is right now, as far as company it's landed in, nor do I know the series, but it's apparently some kind of horror anthology.
Not my cup of tea, but
There's all kinds.
Yep.
Wow, did you guys see Hot Toys is at work again, but they didn't do anything Marvel and DC in the past couple weeks?
No.
Oh, that's because they worked on a special anniversary figure. Check out this Ellen Ripley from the original Alien. Again, little too lifelike.
Yeah.
It's scary how that looks like a young Sigourney Weaver. You know, it's got an unavoidable problem with the ball joints at the wrists, but other than that, there's really no cracks in this costume or this character model.
Complete with them. Covers it nicely on one arm, but...
Yeah. They did a very good representation of her modified flamethrower from the movie. The other object she's carrying, I'm a little confused on. They even got her a cat in a carrier. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I even like the fact that they made a specialty stand for this character. It's not just a...
oh, that's a motion sensor.
A motion sensor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they're detecting the movement of the aliens.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I really didn't know that. I've never actually sat through the first film. I got into Aliens during the second one. Sorry, you know, watching, what's his name, Bill Pullman freak out for... Not Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton freak out for a few hours. That's fun. You know, game over, man.
Yeah.
And last week, we talked about Tomohiro Matsu passing away, the light novelist. He's the one responsible for Papa no Iu Koto wa Kini Nasai and Mayoi Neko Overrun. Well, his casket was on display prior to burial, and they allowed other mangaka to draw on it as a form of farewell.
Huh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I don't know anything about Japanese burial rites, but I expected something a little fancier than the box they put him in, but it looks like it held ink pretty well. I sent the full link so you guys could take a look for yourselves. There is a lot of panels on this thing about where it was drawn on, including a paper that was put over the top that people drew on. But the sides, it appears they drew right into the wood paneling. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I just wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
The images, for the page to load.
The images on the coffin came courtesy of a colleague of his, illustrator Hiroshi Aizawa.
Yeah,
there we
recognize.
Tomohiro Matsu's family thanked him for what he did and the photography that was taken of the coffin after it was done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the three. So they drew characters from. It looks like some of them from other series, but the ones on the side are actually the 3 on the left are from the Papa series, and then it looks like the ones on the right are from Mayoi Neko. So.
Okay, well, Aizawa had mentioned that Tomohiro wanted his funeral to be very festival-like, as opposed to everyone being depressed. He joked that the event may have potentially spawned a new craze of Ita coffins. Which is touching, but still creepy. Oh, God damn it. Before we get further into news, I actually had an idea that sounded fun to me, but I wanted to just kind of poke it by you guys. Because one thing that struck me about the DC TV shows is that they can't play with a lot of the marquee characters because of the rules that the movies give them. You know, they can't play with most of the Justice League at all or any of their villains, right?
Right.
So an idea I had that sounded like fun to me only because I'm a fan of this particular genre would be, wouldn't it be a perfect place then for the DC shows to play around with the Wildstorm characters and reintroduce them to the DC universe?
Hmm.
You know, a good example would be the Flash. The thing that caused their powers was the dark matter spread because of the particle accelerator accident.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if the metahumans that the Flash runs into aren't the only ones that were discovered? What if other people found a few metahumans and put together Stormwatch as their own response team? Doesn't have to be the same original 5, but if you include some of the more iconic ones like frickin' Diva and Fuji, I think that would actually make for some interesting TV. I don't know. I may be talking out my butt, but it would be a good place for these characters to come in at, I think. No?
No, I'm running the idea through my head.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want the ones that would really require a lot of CG.
I don't know if that's necessarily a problem, but the problem that they ran into the comic books is even though they integrated these characters in post-Flashpoint, people still weren't used to the idea of them being around, so they ended up getting shoved aside for the more traditional characters in DC Comics.
Well, the thing is, I'm recalling a previous episode where they dealt with a general who was General Lane.
General Lane has been in comics for quite a while.
Yeah, but he's also been in Flash. They dealt with the metahuman. Yeah, I think it was.
I thought you meant he'd been the Flash. I was about to say, dude, you've got your lore all mixed up, man.
No, but they dealt with a character that could, literally turn anything into a plastic explosive, and he knows how.
Wait. That wasn't General Lane. That was another general.
Yeah. But
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, me either. But I think they could easily pull that off and recreate experimental causes and try to make their own soldiers. I don't know.
Potential. You could also introduce them slowly over the course of weeks, because it's not like you would have to just drop everything and just put a brand new super team together off screen. That would almost be an overarching season type of story, is just who's collecting metahumans.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, I should write a letter. We'll move on into Marvel comic news. We'll talk about Marvel news that does end up on the comic book pages. And Civil War may be close, but they're already announcing a prequel series that's coming out as a result. Civil War II Ulysses. No exact release date I have on this comic book. I'm sorry, it's going to be a digital first comic coming out in June. Then it'll come out with a print edition in August. It's supposed to be the story of the character that creates the central conflict in the Second Civil War, as Ulysses is a new Inhuman who discovers his powers are to predict and experience the future with uncanny accuracy. I don't know if I need a prequel comic around that character. He's just a slight explanation and exposition might be enough for me personally. However, I am still kind of curious to read this comic because he apparently will have a lot of dealings with the Queen of the Inhumans, Medusa, and the person they've chosen to teach him about how to control and regulate his powers might just kill him. His name is Karnak.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Some people who may be confused, Karnak is a very interesting Inhuman whose original ability was to see the flaws in things so he could strike them and destroy them. Now that power has been expanded almost Cypher-like to include concepts and sonic frequencies and all kinds of other things. So he kind of seems to view just about everything except Inhumans with sort of general dismissiveness. So teaching somebody how to use his powers via that man, huh? That sounds like fun. Yo. Some new variants have been announced for the first Civil War cover. Civil War II #1 coming out. And it's supposed to be the first issue of a 7-issue limited series. This one will matter most to Jesse, actually.
Oh?
The special Midtown Comics editions, both variant and colored versions, they're J. Scott Campbell covers.
Ooh.
Take a look. This is not the final cover, but this is the proposed cover for variant version of Civil War I via Midtown Comics. The only way to get these covers is generally to order it directly from Midtown or get it as a back issue later. I'm a fan of Campbell's style, though occasionally he gets a little bit too wispy with his female characters.
Yeah. But main reason why I don't actually collect his art, but other than that, it's really awesome art.
I love the coloring. I don't think he did that. I'd like to know who did the colors for this one. I might pick it up. I haven't decided. But there's other Civil War II variants that are coming out. They're calling them reenactment covers. What they are covers where the characters in Civil War II will reenact infamous scenes in the first Civil War.
Huh.
I'll send you guys the link to the gallery on Newsarama because I recognize all but one of these scenes. Okay, the very first scene there, Iron Man standing on top of a few heroes, that is one of the covers to the first Civil War when the clone of Thor was standing on top of Captain America's team.
Oh, Thor was pissed about that one.
Well, that came later. The second one there, that's the infamous scene where Peter Parker took off his mask, reenacted by Kamala Khan.
Yeah, that made news. I mean, national
well,
news.
this reenactment cover, though, caused some consternation online. Some people were freaking out, just going, how could you make her take off her mask? God damn it, you don't read these things, do you? The third cover there with Songbird, looks like Amadeus Cho and Hawkeye. Oh, no, that's Sunspot. This is a new Avengers cover. That is a reenactment of when everyone showed up on the scene after Stanford had exploded because of Nitro.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This next one with X-23, I honestly don't know what that's from. I don't recall anything like that occurring in the first Civil War. That would require an explanation to me. It looks important, but I know the Phoenix wasn't involved, so that can't be that. And the next cover. Oh, frack, that was mean. The Lifebringer Galactus versus Little Thor there.
Mm-hmm.
That scene was a reenactment of when Black Goliath got a hole blown through his chest by clone Thor.
Oh.
That's what that's referring to.
Wow.
So that's the end of the reenactment covers. I like them, actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily make me want to buy extra issues, but it's very well thought out. I applaud the effort at the very least. And then there's other variant covers that are coming out for another event happening next year. If you recall, another X-Man is dying.
Okay.
The Death of X storyline is supposed to happen this coming fall. And they're releasing some variant covers in a gallery also on Newsarama in regards to different X-Men at points of distress, like life-threatening distress, I guess you could say. If you take a look at this, the very first image is of Colossus in a statue form on top of his own grave. In the middle of a rainy day. Well, he did die pretty notably. The next cover? Dude.
Oh.
The Phoenix's power is going crazy, although I wonder which one that is, because that doesn't look like any Phoenix costume I recognize. Oh, that's young Jean
green
Grey.
And gold. Yeah.
No, that's young Jean Grey. That's her in her current Marvel Girl outfit.
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, it's not like these are actually what's going to happen to these characters. Somebody's dying.
Oh.
Nightcrawler being burned at the stake.
Yep.
It looks very Driz Duerden in that one.
And I'm sitting there going, teleport, dude. Teleport.
Yep.
Give him some good brimstone.
Well, a character that Brian Michael Bendis was very high on is returning in the Daredevil Annual this year. Sometimes Daredevil enemy and former Avenger Echo is returning.
I am unfamiliar with her.
Echo was very shortly in the New Avenger. She was the first Ronin in Marvel Comics history. She was a woman portrayed as a man in the costume. Her ability is Taskmaster-esque. Anything she sees, she can replicate. But she has one drawback to herself. She's deaf. Entirely. She cannot hear at all. She'll be returning in Daredevil Annual #1 coming out this August. The character was originally created by David Mack and Joe Quesada for 1999's Daredevil number 9. And then she appeared multiple times during Bendis' run on Daredevil, and then again during his Avengers run. Her last appearance was in Brian Michael Bendis' Moon Knight in 2012 with a cameo in Deadpool 45. And next up in Marvel Comics this week, All New, All Different Avengers number 9 came out, and that was the debut of the new Wasp. We've talked about her for months now.
Mm-hmm.
She was supposed to have some kind of mysterious connection to Hank Pym. And she showed up in an outfit that was very reminiscent of what the Red Queen character in MC2 looked like. Turns out, she is from this timeline. She is not lost. She's not an X-Man after all. Her name is Nadia. She has a short brown bob. She had been waiting for Hank Pym to return, and she learned via the internet that Hank Pym is gone. He was forcibly merged with Ultron during the Rage of Ultron storyline and launched into space. So, unbeknownst to anyone else, she shrank small and got into his lab and started continuing his work. Took different pieces of prototype wasp costumes that he had been working on, worked on herself genetically, and became the new Wasp. And she introduced herself by nearly entirely subduing the Vision. The reason for that was because, as we've seen in recent storylines, the Vision was under the control of Kang the Conqueror during their first storyline. It turns out Kang's viruses weren't just technological in nature, they were also organic. She was trying to forcibly purge what was left of it. The reason why this character is connected to Hank Pym, though, is because she is his daughter.
Oh. With who?
That's the story. Jarvis, when he first saw this character, was very pissed off because he was very insistent there was only one Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. As it turns out, if people recall, when Hank Pym first started messing around with his Pym particles and became the Ant-Man, he was already married. He was married to another woman named Maria, who was kidnapped by foreign agents and killed before he could rescue her. Nobody knew at the time she was pregnant. And the baby, because nobody knew that the baby was there, nobody bothered to rescue her, and she was raised in Soviet Russia. She was diagnosed early on as with a genius-level IQ, just like her father, and she was specially trained in the Red Room.
Oh, lovely.
Wonderful.
At the same time, because of her IQ, they didn't just teach her combat, they allowed her to learn science. She managed to replicate Pym particles on her own, and as soon as she did, she got the hell out of there.
Smart girl.
Yep. So she ran back to the U.S., and that's when she found out her dad was proclaimed dead as a result of his last encounter with Ultron. So at the end of All New, All Different Avengers number 9, no, she did not join the team. She left with Jarvis because they were on the road. They wanted to find her stepmother, Janet Van Dyne. Although it has been revealed in comics that Hank Pym is not necessarily dead, he is now fused with Ultron, and he's on his way back.
Right.
Last up in Marvel comic news, Marvel is getting ready to help parents talk about a very sensitive subject. No, it's not death. No, Marvel Comics is not teaching your kids about sex. Although, if you read enough Rob Liefeld comics, you'll have a decent idea. No, Marvel's releasing a special issue called Rocket's Powerful Plan, and it's dealing with how Rocket needs to balance his finances to help the Guardians pull off a job. They're developing a comic to help teach kids about managing money.
Really?
Yeah, according to the Marvel editor, Darren Sanchez, quote, "The challenge was to create a fun, action-packed story while also including a lesson on personal finance. Trying to squeeze educational information into a story can be tough, especially with a topic like money management. To make it work, you have to be careful not to overwhelm the story." Unquote. I don't know.
See a lot of frustration on Rocket's part.
I'm a Marvel fan. I kind of question this a little bit because as much as I argue, even with my wife nowadays, that people need to know more about personal finance, I don't quite know if a comic book with a talking raccoon is a good place to start.
That's a good example of what not to do.
Yeah. Can't we start with somebody a little more believable like Howard the Duck?
No, because he's going to spend on booze and hookers.
Like the raccoon would.
No, he spends it on explosives and bullets.
No, you read his comics. Booze and hookers comes first.
Oh.
He needs the explosives and bullets to get more money to pay for more booze and hookers. We'll move into DC comic news. And unfortunately, DC Comics, we had to start with something sad this week. Darwin Cook, writer and artist, he passed away just this past Saturday.
Yeah, I read about that.
It was kind of scary because just 2 days prior, they were looking to start raising funds because he had been diagnosed with cancer a couple days prior to passing away. Cook was best known as the writer and artist on the DC New Frontier, as well as the adaptations of the Richard Stark Parker novels. Cook redesigned DC's Catwoman in 2001 with a costume design that's still running today. He's the one responsible for that black bodysuit she runs in instead of the purple one. He's also worked in animation on Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and he did the main title design for Batman Beyond in 2006.
Damn.
He also did the recent DC Vertigo series Twilight Children. He was announced as working on his first creator-owned series titled Revengeance for Image Comics. Obviously, now, unfortunately, that is not going to occur. According to his statement, his family is requesting people who want to honor Darwin Cook send their donations to the Hero Initiative and the Canadian Cancer Society. Lost his life at 1:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time on May 14th. Don't mean to bring the room down, but, you know, the guy deserved to be remembered.
Yeah.
DC's Rebirth is apparently bringing a lot of stuff for Harley Quinn to deal with in her new run, including the Batman, the Joker, and zombies.
Okay.
According to the advanced solicits for Harley Quinn #1 coming out August 3rd, quote, Die Laughing Part 1. Welcome back to Harley Quinn's crazy world on Coney Island. Now get ready to wave goodbye because everyone there might just get eaten alive. Harley's got to protect her neighborhood against an all-out zombie apocalypse. Break out the chainsaws, everybody, unquote. Series is being done with covers by Amanda Connor. The writers are Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. The art is going to be done by Chad Hardin. And speaking of which, in the Rebirth, we knew that Batgirl is moving out of the Gotham suburb of Burnside and going back to Gotham proper to continue superheroing instead of doing her graduate studies. I kind of question what's going on in issue 2 of her series. It's going to be written by Hope Larson, the art and the cover being done by Raphael Albuquerque. Every time I say that word, I either think of Breaking Bad or Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny comes to mind.
Yeah, the reason why I question is because Batgirl is going to Singapore to get advice from an ancient superhero. I don't have a problem with that story. It's classic, mentor-style storytelling, right?
Uh-huh.
The character she's going to see is an ancient Singaporean superhero called Fruit Bat.
Okay.
Really? What?
Fruit Bat. I'm not making this up. It sounds like something I'd make up, but I'm not making this up.
Okay.
Okay. I really have to ask. I understand it's Batgirl and she's very deep in the Batman mythos. Does the character she's going to see have to be Bat-related as well? Let alone, when I think of fruit bats, I think about annoying things eating oranges and need to be slapped away. I don't really think about anything dangerous, you know what I mean? She's apparently going to dive into the dangerous world of MMA fighting.
Because of Fruit Bat.
Yeah.
Dangerous?
Hey, MMA fighting is dangerous. There was a man that recently died as a result.
Okay.
Yeah, he got his face beat in, and he died the following day. There are some variant covers coming out for DC's June Rebirth event. We have covers for The Flash, Wonder Woman, Detective Comics, and Action Comics. You guys want to check out this gallery?
Okay.
Sure.
You sound worried for some reason. The first image in the gallery is actually a really interesting one. That Wonder Woman variant is in a painted style. It's pretty. It seems to be I can't tell if it's just the small pixel size on the screen, but it seems to be lacking a little bit in detail.
Hmm.
This is just personal standpoint. Her sword is very short. That looks like a long dagger instead of a sword.
Yeah.
The Superman variant, I don't know what else to say about it. It's Superman flying. If you haven't seen that by now, you don't know anything about comics.
I don't know, with the way the buildings are, it could be Superman falling.
It almost looks like his cape is trying to beat him there, doesn't it? The Batman variant? It's very Batman.
Looks like there's a collar.
Yeah.
I think that's his fist. He's pulling the cape.
You're right.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah. You know, he's doing the classic hide my face type deal, the old Bela Lugosi thing. A lot of purple in that picture, though.
Yeah.
The image of Green Arrow and Black Canary. It's the right costumes, it's the right pose, but the art style's a little weird. It makes it look like a couple cosplayers, really.
Yeah.
I think the body proportions on Black Canary is off.
Yeah.
I don't know about off. She looks diminutive in that picture.
She's, I don't know, she almost looks like one of those European dolls.
I thought you were going to say she looks like one of those Europeans that cut herself to look like Barbie.
Oh.
The next cover, the Green Lanterns one, that's actually interesting.
Yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of DC people online who are just like, it's a nice picture, but why do you need a gun? And I don't want to be the one that sparks a fight just by going, well, that ring doesn't last forever. You know, if you can carry it, it's always nice to have a holdout piece. I mean, even cops have a holdout gun just in case sometimes.
I wonder if you could project bullets into it.
That would be almost funny, but why would you need to?
Depends on his imagination.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know who that's supposed to be, so maybe he just lacks imagination, and that's his
That's
go-to.
Simon Boz. That is the fourth Earth. Is it fourth? No, he would be the fifth Earth Green Lantern.
Yeah.
He's a Muslim, actually.
I was getting that from his tattoo.
Well, a lot of people keep
is that
forgetting
what that
that,
is?
unfortunately. Yeah, he has, I think it was strength tattooed on his forearm. When he first became a Green Lantern, it was kind of a thing because he got the ring while he was being accused of terrorism.
Huh.
He's not. He didn't start out as a law-abiding person, but he's not a terrorist. He's a getaway driver by trade.
Mm.
The next Superman variant there, that's actually a really nice cover.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the costume
interesting they give him
design.
the wristbands there.
Yeah, I'm not a total fan of the costume design, but my only problem was I kind of liked the collar that the Flashpoint Superman had. If you're going to have armor, you might as well have armor.
Crotch anymore.
You know, it can only burn for so long. The ointment's working. I do like that they got rid of the bright red boots, though.
Mm.
The next one is Batman in a fighting pose, which is okay, except it looks like he's leading with his crotch.
But he is very top heavy.
Yeah. Well, it's not just top heavy. It looks like he's leading with his Liam Neeson there. His thighs are tremendous. It looks like you could crack coconuts with that. Why does it look like the Flash just robbed somebody?
It looks like the Flash just inhaled some Joker gas.
Or he just stole some panties and he's really proud of himself.
I don't know. It's kind
not
of
a good picture.
Yes, stuck the landing.
And stepped in dog poo. Doesn't that look like that's what happened
The
with
legs
down
are
for
this
the-
weird.
I'm not a huge fan of kind of like from the waist up.
I'm not a fan of everything you got from the waist up, man. It's just not working for me.
it just seems odd. The body proportioning, the pose.
It's not a good picture in general.
No.
DC released another new preview for an
I
upcoming
like
book.
somebody's response to that too. I like the pic of Joker in Flash's costume. Practicing the Chattanooga choo-choo. Wow. Okay. So at least we're not the only ones.
Yeah. There's been another preview that's been released for DC Comics for another one of their series, New Superman. If you remember, that's a story of the new Chinese Superman, Kenan Kong. Except the second issue of his series apparently involves two other characters appearing from what's being called the Chinese Justice League. New Batman and New Wonder Woman. I'm on the fence about that because as much as I could see a country is industrially developed and notorious and large and really and financially powerful as China developing its own superheroes, why does everybody have to be called a new version of existing superheroes? There's got to be identities they can use. Maybe it's that double-edged sword. New characters always have a problem when they're being compared by fans to older characters. So maybe that is their recourse to call them new something. I just think there's other identities they can take. You want to see the cover and what these new characters look like?
Sure. Yeah.
Take a look, because the Batman just looks, maybe it's the artist, but he just kind of looks like a chubby Batman. The Wonder Woman looks almost completely different from her contemporary counterpart.
Probably taking liberties with their own mythology.
Yeah, I guess. Although,
well, I mean, we know that New Superman is getting his powers because of the current Superman dying. He somehow gets a portion of the current Superman's powers. New Batman and New Wonder Woman, don't know either of their stories as of yet. It almost seems redundant to have New Wonder Woman have her own lasso of some sort.
Well, it doesn't look like it's a lasso of truth this time.
I'm not saying it is, but I'm almost surprised she doesn't have an enchanted sword or something of that nature. Staff or spear would be interesting. Like I said, it's probably just the art style, but this Chinese Batman looks kind of fat.
Yeah.
I just had a horrible thought in my head. It may sound racist, but it sounds like these are all Chinese knockoffs.
Well, the copyright is a problem in the country.
I feel bad for saying that.
I don't know. I'm just a little disappointed that these characters don't have their own mythos. I mean, maybe there's something in the execution. Maybe the characters are deeper than they look on the surface. I would like to see... I get why you have a new Superman, because in the DC universe, that is an example of the pinnacle of power. I just don't know if you need a new Batman and new Wonder Woman to go with it,
Yeah.
I was really hoping for something a little more unique. And last up is a little bit of information from Gerard Way when it comes to the new imprint leg he's working on, the Young Animal imprint for DC.
Mm-hmm.
He said, quote, "Emerald City Comic-Con was wonderful. I met so many amazing artists, writers, colorists, letterers, and editors. The support we received across the board for Young Animal has been amazing, and is fueling us through the next stages. Those stages include conceptualizing, storytelling, scripting, drawing, building, and a number of other processes to get these books ready to go. Each week, the team goes into Dan Didio and Jim Lee's offices to talk direction, ideas, art, and where we are heading. It's an amazing part of the process that gives us a chance to get on the same page and shape it together. That part is essential," unquote. And in response, Way posted 5 new pieces of art from different series in the Young Animal imprint. I flipped through it myself. I sent it so you can take a look. It's one of those things where I need more information. The stills by themselves are somewhat interesting, but I need more to go on. It's like the first image there is from Shade. And I don't have any context other than that psychedelic coat she's wearing and matching purse.
Mm-hmm. And 3D glasses.
Yeah. The next one there, that's Cave Carson, who seems to be kind of a throwback to the adventuring heroes of the 1940s.
Mm.
I wonder what it's like when your character is named Cave. Do you think there's a lot of jokes that go on there?
I could definitely.
Maybe he walked into the Blue Oyster Bar one too many times.
Wow. Showing your age there,
Does
Dan.
he use that whip for?
Yeah. The next one has to do with Mother Panic, and there's really not much you can infer from that one. Other than the character...
White.
Yeah. Her
I mean,
real name is
I
gonna be
mean
Violet.
nationality. I mean, like, the entire outfit's white.
Well, that we know of. It could be some sort of light reflection from that stand she's walking under. All I know is the character's name is going to be Violet Page, a.k.a. Mother Panic. And she's going to be in Gotham somewhere. Which means she's probably related to either a bat or a cat.
I do like the background art style, though.
Yeah. I'm not saying the art is terrible. It's just it's hard to glean what these series are about.
No, yeah, I don't know that that's really what the art is really for.
The next one is Robot Man from the Doom Patrol. That one I know.
Yeah.
The design is fine, but it looks like he stole one of Cable's jackets. Those are some huge shoulder pads, man. He's ready to pay linebacker for somebody. And the last one is, I don't know what it is, actually. It was, apparently the art style was inspired by Black Sabbath and Sigourney Weaver and Alien.
I can see from the helmet, Black Sabbath.
I don't quite get what this is about, actually. I'm curious, but I need to know more before I say I would buy Young Animal books. All right, now we have general comic and convention news. That's where we talk about comic books that aren't Marvel and DC related, as well as news about conventions all around the world. And now that it is mid-May, it's going to be hard to escape Comic-Con news. As if there isn't news about it all year anyway, but now it's really going to start coming around. And first off is an event that a lot of people try to get into during Comic-Con. Isn't in Comic-Con, but it happens during the same weekend every year for the last few. Funko Fun Days. That's going on at the Manchester Grand Hyatt. Tickets go on sale Wednesday, June 1st. Tickets are $120 per person. I know. I know. That's just for the one event. But for your ticket, you get to hang out with other Funko fans. You get food and drinks. Each attendee gets 2 drink tickets per ticket. And a chance to try and win more prizes, including one-of-its-kind prototype Funko Pops. There will be life-size Pop characters, special guests, games, contests, and more, and no attendee to Funko Fun Days leaves empty-handed. Funko gives a mystery box to every attendee that has a ticket. In the past, that's 3 featured Funko Pops in a box. So, I mean, that's not a bad show. If there's special guests, signings, food, drinks, and special Funkos. It's just a matter of whether or not you're that into Funkos. I am not, personally.
Neither am I.
You know, I find Funkos creepy, but we've talked about that multiple times. The little button eyes are soulless. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that'll buy the tickets. $120, there has to be a demand for something like that. There's one commenter when they found out it was coming out. Somebody asked, on a scale of Black Friday Doorbuster to Red Wedding, how crazy do you think Fun Day 16 will get? That's a frightening scale you set, sir. Another third-party event that has been confirmed is Nerd HQ 2016, happening the entirety of the weekend, coinciding with Comic-Con. Nerd HQ is known to have panels outside Comic-Con. They're separate ticket events, but are very hard to get into because the tickets sell out fast. They tend to get a lot of high-profile guests. Last year included several comic creators, as well as Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion talking about Con Man. Last year happened at the New Children's Museum. They've announced that they are returning to the New Children's Museum. We got a chance to walk around there a couple times, and personally, I'm not saying it's a bad venue, but it was stuffy as hell in that building. I was sweating in there. However, last year, that's where they showed off prototypes or prototype demos of Star Wars Battlefront and a couple Oculus demos. So there were some serious lines in there.
All right, yeah. Did we walk by that? Yeah, I remember walking by that now.
Oh, we walked through it. We were there. Let's see. Mattel is starting to announce their own exclusives for Comic-Con. They've already announced 2 Monster High-related figures. First off, they have an exclusive Frankie Stein coming for Comic-Con in Ghostbusters costume. I believe this is supposed to coincide with the release of the new movie coming. It's even going to come with a mini Slimer. And they've also unveiled some exclusive called Rebecca Steam, a steampunk android, and her father, Hezekiah Steam. Not a Monster High person. Mattel's not high on my list, but again, there's a lot of people who go far out of their way to get these exclusives. And Monster High dolls, believe it or not, the exclusive last year, retailed for $25. The first day of Comic-Con, I found them on eBay for $55, selling.
Damn.
There's a big return on investment for those Monster High figures. NECA, we made some fun of them last year because of their Sub-Zero and Predator variants. They've announced this year that their Predator variant will be a Predator in camouflage. It's an all-clear Predator figure.
Okay.
I don't know what else to tell you. It comes with a special accessory so it looks like it's projecting a hologram from his wrist, but it's essentially a Predator figure in pure, clear plastic resin. I didn't buy any of those myself last year. I think I stopped by NECA's booth slightly, but it wasn't anything that personally interested me. Now, a convention I've mentioned a lot on this show because of personal issues I have with it is a Southern California convention called the Anime Expo. It's the biggest anime convention in the U.S., and I have regular problems not with their vendors, but generally with their organization. Full disclosure, I've applied for press this year. They've denied me once but allowed me to reapply. I've sent them all the stuff I've done at the last 3 years combined and still haven't heard back. But this year they've announced 2 new apparent policies, both of which are kind of stuck in my craw. The first one is one that's been written about on Mission Start's website, and we've gotten some more information. It turns out that they're ordering that everyone goes through background checks when it comes to people working there. Not the attendees, but the only ones that have to pay for those background checks themselves are the vendors. The artists, the volunteers, the staffers, and the guests all get background checks paid for by the SPJA. But for some reason, the vendors have to pay for their own at approximately $40 to $50 per person.
Yeah, I think that's kind of BS. Even knowing that it's not everybody the way I was thinking.
Yeah,
but
it's 2 months before the convention.
Exactly.
And now you're springing on the vendors a potential cost of anywhere from small booths, $100, to large booths being as much as potentially what? It could be up to $1,000 in background checks for some of the larger booths.
What are they I don't
know.
Their concern for safety, but what are they worried that the vendors are going to do?
I don't know, and I've seen a bunch of people on the Facebook Anime Expo fan page, which is not supposedly run by the SPJA, saying, that's good, that means there will be less problems. Who the frick thinks that the vendors are the problems at the anime conventions? Usually when I walk around, the attendees are the pain in the ass. The attendees are the ones partying and drinking all goddamn night. The attendees are the ones more likely to break the hotels. What exactly do they think the vendors are doing?
Well, not to mention the fact that, these are background checks for, clearing yourself of like being a child molester or something like that.
Yeah, I've also seen some people pretending like this will stop, perfy photographers and stuff. That will only happen if those photographers are staff members at the convention. Right. If they're just attendees like most photographers are, this won't catch crap. It's bad justification.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense because as far as I've heard, they haven't given any justification.
Not as far as I know, but there's a secondary program that they're enacting that also it also impacts the vendors directly. Did you hear about their youth program this year?
No.
The SPJA, as of April 14th, adopted what they call the Youth Protection Policy. It comes with training videos that everyone is supposed to watch. And in accordance with the policy, all employees, volunteers, panelists, performers, guests, members of a guest or performer's entourage, and Artist Alley participants must complete specific requirements to participate in SPJA events. These requirements include providing accurate personal information, completing certain online youth protection training courses. The policy is a total of 8 training courses with certain groups needing to take different courses, consenting to a third-party criminal background check, and providing truthful information as required by the background check provider. Employees and volunteers must also complete an online application and agree to the SPJA's Code of Conduct. Some of the policies that I've heard about, and this really just kind of sticks in my craw, is that if an underage person goes up to a vendor in the exhibit hall and says that they've been harassed for some reason, the vendor is obligated to shut down their booth and wait for the SPJA staffers to respond.
How are they going to communicate with the staff?
That has not been revealed to me. I'm not a vendor. There may be some kind of exhibitor pack I don't get. What actually just kind of sticks in my face, and I'm not a vendor, I just empathize, is that that means a vendor who may not even be a party to whatever is wrong may have somebody come up to them and they are suddenly obligated to shut down their business until the SPJA gets off its butt and handles whatever issue there is under this safe space rule. So what are they supposed to do? Not earn money while somebody comes up with what may be a problem, a perceived problem? And again, not saying that people will not have these issues, but why is it the vendors' issues to take care of it? Shouldn't these people go over to the information desk?
Yeah, or some kind of official con
staff.
Yeah.
Why do the vendors have to lose money because somebody else has an issue that they're not party to?
Given the details I'm hearing right now, I'm starting to wonder if this has anything to do with the incident that happened at BabsCon.
I don't know. I just think this is butt.
Well, I'm pretty sure that these were announced before BabsCon.
This policy was enacted on April 14th.
14th? Yeah, so
which would have been, about 10 days before BabsCon. Which also would have been right after the time Mark Perez was suddenly leaving as CEO. I'm not behind either of these policies. I don't think there'll be an actual help to anything going on, or because I've made it no secret. I think that anime conventions have been subverted by a party crowd. I do think there's a good number of fans at these things, but I also think there is a significant number of people who aren't going for fandom. They're going to get away from their parents and drink for a few days solid.
I don't think it's just exclusive to anime conventions.
It's more prevalent in anime conventions. I didn't say people don't go to cons and party, but anime conventions tend to have more excessive partying. I saw a person who posted when they were somebody asked if Fanime was fun, and one of the responders said, "I've had fun the last 5 years, I think. I was blackout drunk, but I was pretty sure I had fun for the last 5 years."
That's not reliable.
He thought it was just fine. And we saw some of it ourselves in Anime Los Angeles, man. There's a bunch of people that go out there just to get blasted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never been my idea of a good time. Never look down on drinkers, but as soon as you get fall down drunk, I got an issue.
Well, especially with, how that tends to leave the convention afterwards.
Well, not to mention the number of underage people in the area. Minneapolis Comic-Con had its own drama a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, how much do you know about an artist called The Random Artist? His name is Tim Lundmark.
Never heard of him.
He appears at different conventions. He sells his art, different banners, posters, prints, stuff like that. There's another artist known as Buzz, Aldrin Awe. He's a comic artist. He's worked on Justice League, JSA, Vampirella, She, X Factor, and others. And during the Friday of Wizard World Minneapolis, he lost his mind at Tim Lundgren. Because he noticed that one of the featured banners at Tim Lundgren's booth was a picture of Captain America, Beast, and Black Widow from the Secret Avengers. Tim Lundgren has not worked on the Secret Avengers. That was Simon Bianchi's work.
Oh, he was selling another artist's work.
Actually, according to Buzz, most of the works behind Tim Lundgren were a bunch of different artists' works.
Ooh.
Let me see. According to Oz statement online, quote, "After a full morning of dealing with a sea of print vendors disguised as artists hawking cheap, shitty prints made from downloaded images, my friend Troy Dante brought me over to this motherfucker's table," I'm quoting him entirely here, "to check out the artwork he has on display. Every single piece of art was printouts of other artists' work. He had work from every artist imaginable, from Neil Adams, Anley Brasset, Bisley, Diodato Jr., Greg Horn, Adi Granov, Romita Jr., to Simon Bianchi. I went off on the motherfucker with a long string of shaming words and obscenities, and all he can say is, it's fan art. It took every ounce of strength for me not to twist his fucking head off. There's still tomorrow. It may still happen. And on top of everything, this cock slurper is printing the art on bags, placemats, and all kinds of merchandise." Wow.
Yeah.
So according to an update from Buzz the following day, quote, "Update on the thieving trash asshole ripoff artist from yesterday. So the guy and his wife were going around harassing people who witnessed my verbal spanking to not spread gossip about what happened. Then I had a run-in with them. The conversation was as followed. The wife, you should stop spreading this bullshit and don't know what you're talking about. Me, go fuck yourself. The wife, well, we're leaving because of you. Me, good fucking riddance. Update, the fucker has taken down his Facebook page too," unquote. I mean, I know there are artists at different conventions who will portray other people's work as their own. I've just never heard of one so brazenly called out before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've posted pictures of people who sell framed pieces of artwork that I recognize to the artists themselves, and whatever they do from there is their business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm of the same mind. I don't mind if people sell prints as long as you admit you're selling prints. If you're going to say it's mine, I've been around comic books long enough to know I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you guys tested out Comic-Con HQ yet?
Not yet.
No.
It's actually on a free trial basis. It will ask for a credit card, but it will not charge that card until after July 25th, the day after Comic-Con. So for right now, it's up for free trial. It has several licensed shows, several original shows up there. And it's recently been announced that Comic-Con and Lionsgate are hatching their own awards show plan for Comic-Con HQ.
Really?
Yeah, according to David Glanzer, quote, "Over the years, we've been contacted by a number of companies hoping to create a Comic-Con award show. However, for any number of reasons, those explorations just didn't work out. While nothing has been finalized, I can say that we've been approached by Lionsgate regarding their hopes for producing a televised Comic-Con specific awards show, and their unique understanding of fandom has resulted in talks moving further along than any discussions we've ever had on this subject," unquote. I don't think this will be related to the actual comic book awards that go on during Comic-Con, the Eisner Awards, which are for artistic merit in comic books in both writing, story, and art. I would really hope not, because the Eisner Awards, I think you leave that as a Comic-Con exclusive. That should be for the people who picked up badges.
Mm.
But you could probably have extra Comic-Con awards for the channel. Maybe have an actual award for best presentation in Hall H, best booth on the floor. Let people vote for what they thought was the best panel during the course of the weekend. That would be viable.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep it as a vote. If you have the company voting among itself, I don't think you want them to try and play favorites among all the companies that try to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That would be uncomfortable. I know you guys are not heavy collectors like I am. I have gotten stuff graded before. And
Right.
it can be tooth gnashing, because you're sending stuff out with expensive signatures that you've spent the time to collect. You're sending it to a third party to grade it and then hopefully mail it back to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get it insured, but that insurance costs money as well. So grading can be more frustrating than the actual signatures, just because you've sent away expensive comic books to get graded. Well, one of the grading services, CBCS, the Comic Book Certification Service, they will now accept on-site submissions for grading for the same weekend turnaround during Tampa Bay Comic-Con in August. Collectors can drop off comics with CBCS at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. They'll be graded, encapsulated, and ready for pickup by the end of the weekend. If they could do that at every convention they visit, man, they could really turn around their market.
Yeah.
And the usual turnaround time for mail-in service is about 30 days. We can get it in 3. That's awesome. Man, that would almost be the same worry, except now I've dropped off my comics at a booth. I really hope nobody jumps behind that counter. Not saying it's going to happen, and I'm not saying there's going to be some new movie about, comic book thieves, the movie, and crap like that. No. But...
Or not see the comic for a year.
Yeah, I do like the idea of on-site grading. It's just... maybe it works with CBCS because they're not exactly the biggest one out there. CGC is the biggest grader I know of. Comic grading company. And I just don't know if you would have to have a very large booth to do this at, like, Comic-Con. Almost too large, frankly, between the people who would have to intake the books to the people that would have to grade them and encapsulate them.
Mm.
That would take a number of personnel, especially at a convention that has that many people for signings, I don't think you could actually do that at San Diego. Jesse, there may be a new convention coming that you would have to visit.
Okay.
Hasbro, this week, went to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and they copyrighted the name HasbroCon.
Which is a lot better than HasCon.
HasCon will travel. No, there was a previous trademark of HasCon. The trademark was very descriptive about explaining what the trademark is for. They wouldn't be the first company to have a proprietary convention. Disney has the D23 Expo.
Blizzard has BlizzCon.
Yeah, but They've also recently registered a web domain of www.hasbro-con.com. Looks like they're serious.
Where are they going to hold it?
I don't think it would matter. As soon as they announce that they're making some proprietary exclusives for HasbroCon, people will start snapping up those tickets. I think that's a given. You know, goodness knows, just trying to get stuff out of them at Comic-Con is almost like going through the Red Wedding. And there's actually going to be a reunion of the Sons of Anarchy cast at another Comic-Con. Space City Comic-Con is occurring this year. And the primary players of Sons of Anarchy, including Mark Boone Jr., Kim Coates, Tommy Flanagan, Ryan Hurst, David LaVabra, and Ron Perlman, are all coming together for a reunion during the convention. Space City Comic-Con happens between May 27th and May 29th, so that's coming pretty fast. It's going on at the NRG Center in Houston, Texas. Sons of Anarchy in Houston, Texas. That's pretty much a perfect place to do that.
Yeah.
You know. And there's another Transformers comic coming out soon.
Okay.
It's not going to be a miniseries. It's going to be their third regular ongoing title. It's going to be called Transformers Till All Are One. It's debuting this coming June. The writer is going to be Marguerite Scott. And it's going to be set on Cybertron, and it's going to detail the political infighting between Starscream and Windblade, who are both trying to craft a new era for Transformers on Cybertron. It's supposed to be the most human of all the Transformers books. Color me curious, man.
They're really big on political things.
Well, according to the writer in an interview on Newsarama, quote, "Till All Are One is a double-edged sword in our series. Our character's main challenge right now is integration. Autobots and Decepticons, colonists and Cybertronians, various religious and political factions. These people know they need help to survive, but getting that from former enemies is a hard pill to swallow. On the other hand, the threat of empire is always there. If Cybertron falls back under a totalitarian government and all are forced to become one, it can be just as damaging. So everyone is working towards a single phrase, but in very different ways," unquote. Some of the other characters featured in the proposed cover are Rat Trap, Ironhide, and the Combaticon Sans Swindle, who apparently is one. Swindle is apparently one of the major first story arcs in the book, because Swindle was put into incarceration in one of the prior Transformers books.
Interesting.
I'm curious to read it. I like the idea of that.
I'm a bit curious, but I'm afraid I might get lost in the political shuffle of things.
Well, it's all political shuffle now that Autobots and Decepticons aren't the only factions left on Cybertron. There is a new set of books coming out from Oni Press. Oni Press, their biggest claim to fame would be the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels. And these new books are supposed to focus on positive, diverse, and approachable stories that reflect a wide variety of emotional and intimate experiences. It's going to be called Limerence Press. And Limerence's first project will be reprinting Erica Moen and Matthew Nolan's 3-volume Oh Joy Sex Toy series. Apparently, Limerence's Press is going to focus on erotic and sex education comics. I know which section of the comic book shop I'm not taking my daughter to. The first 2 volumes of Oh Joy Sex Toy are scheduled to come out on October 5th. The third will be on November 9th. There aren't any other Limerence Press titles announced at this time. I've heard worse. Darth Vader, his series is coming to an end. As of August issue 25, the Darth Vader series is coming to an end, not because it was a low seller, but because according to Marvel Comics and the writer, Kieran Gillen, they said that this book already had a predetermined half-life. The Darth Vader books basically take place between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. It is the story of Darth Vader's fall from power as a result of losing the first Death Star and how he fought his way back into it. According to the writer, quote, "It was a situation where, we've always said it all the way through from Darth Vader #1 that this was a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we kind of looked at where we were after Vader down, and we realized we were probably actually nearer to the end than we thought we were. And it was a situation where we were like, okay, it's better to actually end this story in a way where we think is the most effective. We don't want to pad it out extraneously. That was the kind of thing where we were like, oh yeah, this is the end of this particular story, in which it's a natural place for Vader to move on from, unquote. Almost makes you want to back up and read the Vader comics, frankly.
Yeah, maybe we should do that at one point.
Probably. Last up, when it comes to general comic and convention news, have you guys heard about the flap with Santa Fe Comic-Con this past week?
No.
That would be the thing with the cosplayer that wanted a free ride or something like that.
I will add the caveat of supposedly. Now, what happened was
that.
on Santa Fe Comic-Con's Facebook page, somebody who identified themselves later as the head of their PR posted what they said was a transcription of a conversation. And I add the caveat to that was because all we got was quoted text through this guy's viewpoint. We don't actually have any screenshots of the emails that transpired, which would help a lot here. According to him, the conversation went from a cosplayer, quote, "Dear Santa Fe Comic-Con, I'm a cosplayer from the Midwest with 20,000 likes on Facebook. Would you fly me out, put me in a hotel, and give me a table and a per diem?" To which they replied, "Sorry, we don't pay to bring on cosplayers. We like to develop our own local talent. I can give you a table if you will market us on your site and sell $200 worth of tickets for us." From the cosplayer, "How am I supposed to make any money if I have to pay all my own expenses?" To which they responded, "Are we family or something?" Now, like I said, there is no transcript from the actual emails. This sounds like somebody trying to make a point. Yeah. And I say that because I don't know any cosplayer that when they're asking for expenses, they ask for what they call a per diem. Usually I expect that to come in the form of, food. It got uglier from there because several people say that it was just an uppity cosplayer who was asking for too much. And again, I would say I don't know what specifically the cosplayer asked for. This is somebody else's transcription. It's not like it's an actual email. My problem, though, is that this convention is airing other people's dirty laundry in public.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very professional to sit there. I mean, it doesn't. I don't understand why they're making a big deal out of this. What did this one person do?
I'm not sure myself, and I'm getting varying stories as to who the cosplayer is, so I'm not going to bother to even guess as to whom it is. I do not like the idea that Santa Fe is trying to make itself look bigger by raking someone else over the coals. I had not heard of Santa Fe Comic-Con actually until all this started to come out. And some of the excuses they used to people who were asking, what the frick, why are you doing this way? They said that they like to develop their own local talent. I looked up Santa Fe Comic-Con's website. The only cosplay guest they have is Rosanna Rocha, who is a notable cosplayer on the internet. She's a curvaceous woman, very pretty woman, but she's not local to Santa Fe. She's not local to New Mexico either, as far as I know. So that's out the window. And then Santa Fe further decided to defend itself by saying, I don't care how many likes this person has, I am not hiring boob models to come and show themselves off at my convention. But I dare you to look up Rosanna Rocha online, because some of her notable cosplays have short skirts. She's done Red Sonja. She's done Vampirella. She's done a few other very bombastic cosplays. So I would ask what the hell you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think these people are very condescending. I don't think they get their lies straight. As a matter of fact, the guy that runs Santa Fe Comic-Con, he's a man named Jim Burleson. Do you know that he actually had a failed Kickstarter in 2014?
Involving what?
He wanted to put together a cosplay calendar full of women who were all body-painted costumes.
Did we report on that?
No, I don't believe so.
Sounds familiar.
We did cosplay calendars before, but body painted, I don't remember talking about. I think I would have laughed a bit at that. So this whole thing is full of contradictions, in my opinion, at least, in what I know based on the various screenshots of the conversations. And I think it's ass.
Well, even without the research that you did, I kind of The first statement of, are we family is like, they could have ended it right there, but it just kept going for some odd reason. It's like,
the thing is, as soon as you post something that condescending online, you are opening yourself up to get eviscerated.
It just, there was a better way to phrase that.
Yeah. Oh, and guess what, Rosanna? I'm checking their website right now. Since the last time I looked it up, Rosanna Rocha appears to have been removed from their cosplay guest site. So now they have no cosplay guests officially. I don't know
them or her.
I couldn't guess. I was about to wonder whether or not they did it because they were saving face, or if Rosanna herself just pulled out of this convention based on everything else going on. Even Yaya Han basically posted in this whole thread asking, "What the frick are you doing?"
Yeah.
I never expected to be on the same side of this conversation as Yaya Han. I mean, shoot, I don't know what they mean by local talent. Some of the people that they've invited. Oh, there's Rosanna Rocha. She is on cosplay guest. Okay. Amy Jo Johnson from the Power Rangers, Garrett Wang, who was Mr. Kim on D Space Nine, Kevin Sorbo, and Sam Jones from Flash Gordon, the 70s Flash Gordon.
Okay.
David Prose, Jason Jamison Newlander, Ellen Hallman, George Takei canceled. I think he canceled before this flap came out, though. Yeah, you would have to pay me to go to this convention at this point. I say that very seriously, because after everything has been said and done, I would be curious, not about the convention itself, but to see what kind of attendance there is at this point. I know a lot of people decided to go to this convention because, again, there's a number of people who thought this cosplayer was asking for too much, and they deserve what they got, but I would have to remind you, we don't know what precisely they asked for unless they release the emails.
True.
So.
Oh, this is probably a PR nightmare for that convention.
I don't know. Again, supposedly there was a burst in badge sales after this because people thought they were supporting the convention above the cosplayer, who we still don't know what they said. People tend to overreact when they think they have the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. The thing I would say is, remember 2 years ago we went to Comic-Con. That poor lady fell on her face.
Yeah.
Everyone thought her ex-boyfriend photographer beat up this underage cosplayer, and everyone was looking for his head. And then it turns out, like 3 days later, if people would calm down and actually waited, it turns out she fell off a fence she was trying to climb over while very drunk.
Yep.
I'm starting to worry this is the same thing in reverse.
Mm. Even so, I read that article, the transcript. It really sounded like the guy, whoever's representing Santa Fe Comic-Con, was kind of an ass.
He was a huge ass. I don't care if you're the guy that owns it or if you're their PR person. You don't run a social media purposefully insulting anyone. That's not the way to gain a following, unless you're looking for, Donald Trump supporters to be the only ones going to the convention. It's a very bad way to do business, especially insulting a cosplayer, because regardless of whether they're your guest or you're an attendee, these days cosplayers make up a good 30% of any convention these days. I think I just said these days twice. Sorry. Cosplayers make up a good number of people attending conventions, so insulting them in any format is a bad idea. We'll move forward into our WTF corner. Those stories from across the internet that just make you say, seriously, dude? The blue fuck are you doing? And because we enjoy them, we'll start off with video game videos. Incredible plays, unbelievable falls, and glitches that make it look like Galactus just ate your planet. First up, it's an Assassin's Creed Syndicate video.
Syndicate, okay.
Yeah, that's the one that happens in London. It's the most technologically advanced Assassin's Creed game they've had yet, at least as far as conceptually. This came from the channel of user Mr. Clux, Mr. _ Clux. And the title of the video was very apt after I watched it. The title is, Your Shift's Over. I sent the video. So you jump into a burning building, and you're trying to save, I guess, slave child labor. See that poor unconscious one?
Mm-hmm.
Picking him up? Okay, we'll get you out of here, boy. And, okay, I can't throw you through the window, so we'll just set you down here. Pick you up, and I don't quite know what to do now. Can't go out that way. Oh, wait, there's a marker over there. Oh, right, a door. Silly me. Okay, Okay, we'll just put you down and big boot. Nope, won't open. Get out! Punts the kid through the door and says, "Your shift is over."
And then picks him up again.
Wow, you look hurt. What happened to you? That was one of those videos
that literally looks like he just used the kid as a key.
It's one of those videos that was a slow burn. You don't know anything's happening until the payoff comes when he just boots that kid clean through the door. There, saved. Sorry, I'm an assassin, not a firefighter. The next video is a Little Big Planet 3 video. I know we've never had that on the show before.
No, never.
Yeah. This came from user Moises Franca. The title of this video is Little Big Planet 3, Christine.
Okay.
I know. It could be so many things, but it does have to do with the haunted car movie. Yeah, I sent the video. Manglewood Swamp is where we're headed.
Got their racing bug,
Ooh,
huh?
get to get in the shoe and race, huh? All right.
Either way,
Hop in, all set to go, and spin cycle!
Whoa.
And, nope, we're not done yet. Still spinning. There's something very wrong with this shoe, man.
I'm loving the announcer.
Oh, you're so fast. Muy bueno. And you broke the shoe. Hey, come back here with my wheels, man.
remember that holding L2 will restart the race.
No, I don't think I'm going to restart that. I think I give up, dude. I'm done.
What the hell? That was a physics fail.
Show did more backflips than Shinsuke Nakamura. Next video is an Uncharted 4 video. The game is finally out. About time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the video it's an unusual one. It came from the channel of Mikey Mike Lay, Mikey Mikele. I feel like I was about to spell Mickey Mouse there for a moment. The title of the video is Uncharted 4, A Flying Thief.
Okay.
I sent the video. Okay, we just started here, and it's definitely... Yeah, it's a cut screen. I will warn you, what happens that makes this weird won't happen until about halfway through.
Not a goddamn thing.
Somebody's trying to get service, not working. Nathan Drake is bored.
You know what never loses signal? Paper.
I was going to say a gun, but fine.
All right, this route right here should take us straight.
See this
to the
blue line?
volcano.
That's where the weather's going.
Bumpy, though.
Oh,
Let's get the show on the road.
Okay, so we're gonna get in. We're gonna get in here. We're gonna start the old Jeep. Hey, it turned over. Watch the passenger seat. See that guy? And he flies back in.
Whoa!
So,
damn it, Quicksilver! Stop it.
Okay.
So we're not going to talk about the fact that you just levitated, you teleported out and levitated back into the chair, huh?
It happens all the time.
We're just going to treat this as normal?
Yeah, happens all the time. It scares my wife all the time.
I hate your wife too, Dave.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed you don't do that again, you old fart.
Oh, how'd you know my secret?
That you're an old fart? I can see your face, Dave. Okay, and the next video is from a game that's kind of turning into a steady stream of unbelievable crap. Dark Souls 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think it has a lot to do with their physics engine.
A bit, yeah. And that might have to do with it again when you get the title of this video. This came from channel Limit Braver, Limitbraver. Kudos on that one. There are some people that pissed that he beat them to that name. The title of the video is Hodrick Too Strong. Hodrick Too Strong.
Okay.
It makes it sound like he's going to walk around the whole series going, Hodrick, Hodrick, Hodrick.
Hodor.
Well, at least somebody got it. I sent the video. Nice witch's hat.
Yep.
Is he carrying a katana?
Yep.
Actually, at that length, that's not a katana. That's a Nodachi.
True. Let there be mimicry. Let there be mimicry. Yeah. Okay, well, what are you mimicrying?
That fire, I guess. Maybe that's why I've never played this game. It always seemed like there was a troublesome amount of menus to me. Ember restored.
It's a restore all resources ability.
Okay. Okay, I just saw Ember restored, and it looks like he's had the chili. He's really having trouble figuring out what to do, it looks like.
Even though it says touch bloodstain.
No,
well, that's never a good idea. There's no movie in history where you start doing a bloodstain. Looks like somebody just showed up.
Someone invaded?
A warrior of sunlight, Azrael.
Phantom Azrael.
Oh, good. So we can kill that bastard in the Batman comics.
And he's showing up in Gotham too.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Okay,
so... Ooh, backstab.
Hello.
Is a Mad Phantom a player enemy, or what is that?
I have no idea.
Nope. That's an enemy type. That's an enemy.
It is an enemy.
Okay. He's going to fight your...
Actually, I think it's a character, PC.
No, that Holy Knight Hodrick, he's the problem. He's the enemy.
Yeah, but he might be a player character that invaded to kill him.
Probably.
Yeah,
wow, he's really after that spirit. Ooh, nice.
Okay, got a good slice.
Yeah. Haven't taken much off of his life, though, and he's taken a few hits.
Yeah, no, this is a MDC.
Okay. Backing him up. Ooh! Nice combo.
Oh,
and he is not having your crap.
Nope. It's potioned up.
Oh! Backstab. And he's still not dead.
Got invaded. Now he's getting invaded. The guy's still alive. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a...
Spirit's trying to help. Wow, he's taking a lot of damage. Okay, he's backing up there. Looks like... Ooh, somebody's coming up behind you. See that?
Potion again.
Yeah. Another backstab.
Another backstab.
And still haven't killed him. And Spirit's really starting to slam into him.
I was worried about the invader.
Oh, look, here's the invader. Hodrick does the back in and kill him. Well, Dark Spirit destroyed. Thank you, Hodrick. Nice to see that we can agree that the enemy of my enemy is a dead butthole. I like how the other guy just kind of turns to him and says, "Did you see what he did?"
Wow.
Can you imagine being the invader too? Ooh, he's fighting this character. This will be easy. Claw! What the hell?
That's not the worst one I've seen. About the guy that kind of jumped off the tower last week.
Oh well, he was just
good.
Yeah, he was just uncoordinated. Last video we have came from user Rest in Pepsi. Okay, I like you. I like you a lot. It's an Overwatch video.
Okay,
ooh,
cool.
Yeah, this one is called the Diva Sacred Combo.
Okay.
You guys know the character of Diva in Overwatch? Because I have not played the game.
I do know.
She's the healer, isn't she?
No, she rides a mech suit. And her ultimate is self-destructing the damn thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I should qualify this one. This has to do with obtaining an objective and then defending it from the other team.
Yep.
A mobile objective. It's some kind of car or something.
Oh, yeah, no, they're pushing it to an objective.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Killed by Junkrat.
Yeah. So you're in your mech suit. You're running back
her
in the
ultimate's
area.
up.
Yeah. You see that? There's the thing they have to defend, and they got to get it to another location.
Yep.
So, on a lark, she just sends her mech suit out there. We'll just see what happens. And... Okay, 5 kills.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Oh,
4
that's
kills.
a team.
And here's my new suit.
Summons the new mech because there's things up.
And we're ready.
That is a team wipe.
That's a nice blind shot, frankly.
No, that wasn't blind. She knew where it was coming. And players need to be next to the objective in order to move it.
Yeah, but that was something she was trying to defend, not something she was destroying. So she just had an idea.
Yeah, her objective is to stop its movement.
If the enemy gets near it, it
moves
push
forward.
It back.
Ah.
Oh.
Nerf this. And then does the emote. I love the fact she does the emote.
Well, I got one more video here from somebody playing Overwatch, and it's kind of notable because he's not a regular player of the game. This one is an Overwatch video from a Team Fortress 2 pro player named Pine. He's a Korean player. And some kind of streaming show decided to let him into the game and see how good he would be. And it turns out he wasn't near as good as they thought he would be. He was better. I sent the video. So there he is.
Press rough.
And snipe somebody mid-jump. Okay, so we're going to head to a wall and we will rappel up to this position. And, oh, I see you. Now I don't. Oh, I see you running around.
Damn, that was a spawn
got
point.
You, and got you. Close quarter snipe. Close quarter snipe.
He must play the sniper from Team
He's
Fortress.
very twitchy. See. Oh, got you.
Tracer. There goes Tracer.
Oh.
Ooh,
got you on the second shot.
Reaper.
Got you on the first shot. Okay, back up here, and we're going to
They're
camp a spawn
camping the
point for a little
spawn
bit.
point.
Ooh, there you go. Got you.
This is not fair.
Oh, look. Nope, you can't get me. Got you. Close quarter snipe. Killed you on the run.
Goodbye, Junkrat.
Hi. Hi. Ooh, you made it that far. Good. You ain't getting farther. Killed you. Killed you.
Oh.
Killed you. He has not gone to a close quarters weapon in quite a while here.
You don't
you.
actually have one. Her rifle is both close quarters and sniper.
Submachine gun.
Yep.
Ooh, somebody
Bye,
got me close.
Winston.
And they won. And I'll kill you just because you're pissing me off. It sounded like you gave the announcer a heart attack.
Yeah, that wasn't fair.
No, it wasn't.
You know, the other team didn't pull out a tank. That's the problem.
Well, it's not like they pulled out a tank. They played somebody adept at playing God. He chose who lived and who died.
There's still ways to get around that if they decide to change players like the game allows you to, but whatever.
Yeah. We got a few more stories here in the WTF corner. First up, can you believe that a man's life was saved by pizza?
Okay.
I think we've had a story like this before. Maybe.
No, he was literally saved by pizza. There's a man in Oregon. His name is Kirk Alexander. He's 48 years old. He's been ordering pizza from the same Domino's location for the past 10 years on a near daily basis.
Sounds like us back in the day.
Yeah. Apparently, he ordered so regularly that from the place he usually ordered in New Salem, when his order would pop up, half the people in there would look at the ticket and go, "Oh, Kirk's order is in."
Sounds like us back in our heyday.
His regular delivery driver was named Tracy Hamblin. They noticed that they had not seen an order delivered to his home in several days. So the manager, Sarah Fuller, decided to look into his account, and they found out it had been a while since his last order, 11 days, which was very unlike him. So the next morning, Tracy Hamblin, the delivery driver, made a courtesy run by his house just to see what's going on. And what they found was that Mr. Hamblin had formed kind of a relationship with the victim. When I say victim, because when Hamblin arrived at the scene, Kirk Alexander wasn't answering the door, but there were lights on and you could hear the TV on. And they tried to phone him several times, but each time it went straight to voicemail, so Hamblin dialed 911. Police arrived on the scene, and they could hear a man calling for help inside the house, so they broke in. They found Alexander in need of immediate medical attention. He was lying on the floor, and apparently he had suffered a stroke.
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn.
So if it had been since his last order, since he had seen anybody, that means he would have been on his back for at least 11 days, 10 or 11 days. Let's say at least 9 if he ordered every other day during that period.
Mm.
He was fortunate he didn't die of dehydration, frankly. So they got him the medical attention, and he's going to be okay, thankfully.
Wow.
Like I said, pizza saved his life. The only way that this could be a sad story is if the next thing you find out is because they were sorry for him, they gave him, free pizza for a year. That would kill the man at this point.
It kind of makes me wonder if his diet played a little bit of a factor in that stroke.
Yeah. There is a man in Britain who might need to be flogged.
Okay.
He's the principal of a British school, and he claims that reading books like Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, and The Lord of the Rings can cause brain damage in children.
Wow, really?
Yeah. His name is Graham Whiting. He's the headmaster of the Acorn School in the English town of Nailsworth, and he claimed that popular fantasy books, quote, can damage the sensitive subconscious brains of young children, many of whom may be added to the current statistics of mentally ill young children, unquote.
Mm-hmm. I think he's mentally ill.
He claims that the books contain, quote, deeply insensitive and addictive material, which I am certain encourages difficult behavior in children, unquote.
Like reading?
He also claims that the children should not be able to buy these books without a special license.
Children don't normally buy those books. The parents do.
Yeah.
Quote, buying sensational books is like feeding your child with spoons of added sugar. Heaps of it. And when the child becomes addicted, it will seek more and more.
Which, if related, get addicted to.
Which, if related to
you're
books,
encouraging them to read and use their imagination? Blasphemy.
Which, if related to books, fills the bank vaults of those who write unsensitive books for young children, unquote. Whiting has praised the old-fashioned values of traditional literature, offering as examples William Shakespeare, John Keats, Charles Dickens, and Shelley. He didn't specify if that meant Percy Bysshe Shelley, The Necessity of Atheism, or Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein.
I think we can scratch off Mary Shelley. Yeah. But
I have a feeling Mr. Graham Whitley was beaten up a lot in school. And I say that as a nerd. I think this man got his ass kicked a few too many times.
I'm thinking of, Shakespeare.
There's death, violence, and all manner of other things that are not
should
be appropriate to children.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a... How did he phrase the other books? Uncaring?
No.
Or what?
Unsensitive, as he put it.
Yes,
which is not English as it stands anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, because reading books like this, as long as you're reading other types of literature, I don't see the harm in particular books like feeding into it. It's like myself. Sometimes I like to watch the news because I want information. Sometimes I like to watch documentaries because I, again, like information. Sometimes I watch The Family Guy because I like to laugh at stupid things. Occasionally you're going to read certain books just because they entertain you, not because they inform you.
Yeah, well, and even if you don't read books because they inform you and you just read books for entertainment, you're still reading. I fail to see a downside.
I don't know. It's why I bought Playboy back in the day, because I love the articles. China has proposed a very interesting ban. Actually, they've gone through with the ban on banana fellatio.
Okay.
What?
I knew this one would catch you sideways.
This was a problem?
Apparently, it is a problem because, as you know, China has some pretty strict censorship laws. Certain people have figured out a way to get around those censorship laws on the internet is not to perform fellatio on a customer or on a friend. The way to do is perform fellatio on a banana. So China has banned the suggestive consumption of bananas online.
I see.
There was a steady rise of live stream videos in China that were young women and apparently even some men who were eating bananas suggestively, in air quotes. It was part of China's growing effort to stamp out inappropriate and erotic content online. Really? I think Sisyphus had an easier time rolling a boulder uphill than stopping erotic content from getting on the internet.
This sounds like a concept for an anime that you've told me about, Steve. Or no, that was you, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, no, but they are behind the Great Firewall, so yeah, they don't have as much of an issue with that.
Look, it's not a story with a whole lot of meat into it, because obviously it's a vegan diet that they're having here. But basically the story boils down to, now in China you can only eat bananas, you cannot blow them. Which means we're all very likely to follow the law at this point. Last up in our WTF corner, do you remember when Dorkly about 2 years ago had a series of quotes from D&D games? Actual quotes from real life D&D games, which were like some of the most unlikely things we ever heard.
Maybe I probably don't remember him.
I'm trying to think of.
Let me give you an example.
I remember like the ones that, like the parents were all freaking out about it.
No, these are actual quotes from D&D games, people playing games, and some of the odd things that happen in the middle. We read the story last year where some of the quotes were, "The orcs are greased, now let's get this party started. Is Z-snapping considered a free action? And, sir, if you do not stop kicking my barbarian, I will have to slap you."
Okay.
As a matter of fact,
remember most of those. But.
As a matter of fact, one of the ones we laughed the biggest at was number 6 on last year's set of quotes. Quote, "You know what? Fine. Fucking fine. Roll diplomacy to seduce the goddamn dragon, you sick fucks." Well, it's been a year since... Actually, it's been 10 months since I've had such a list, and surprisingly, in all that time, there have been 25 new inappropriate D&D quotes from actual games.
Hit it.
Okay. Number 1, quote, "Do you think the bears and boars have an alliance?" Unquote.
What?
Do you think the bears and boars have an alliance?
Okay.
Gotta be one of the most unusual
There's some context
questions.
we're missing. There's gotta be some context we're missing.
Okay, I'd like to know what key was used in quote number 2, because the quote is only 6 words long. "I tried to seduce the lock."
Uh-huh.
Let's see, you rolled a 2, but you have a Liam Neeson modifier. Yep, you did it. Quote number 3, "I impale the merchant in his sleep. How does his wife react?"
She gets jealous.
Number 4, if people on this show knew our friend Mark, number 4 would be right up his alley. Quote, "We can't kill the cannibal pony. I love her." Unquote.
Wow.
Someone's broke.
No, the next one is broke. Number 5. "Technically, throwing my bow is just as effective as shooting." I'll let that one sit for a minute.
Where did you learn to... All right.
The Clint Barton School of Archery?
Random lightning bolt from the sky. Goodbye.
Oh, yeah? Number 6 had to be one of the most frustrated DMs I've ever heard a quote from. "He is crippled and screaming in agony, so no, you cannot use diplomacy now."
Actually, I can think of a good reason to use diplomacy. The check will be very high, though.
Actually, if number 6 is a frustrated DM, number 7 is an a-hole DM. "Anal penetration is needed for healing to work."
What?
Wow.
That must be one hell of a salve. Number 8, your stealth is so good, you disappear from this plane of existence.
Roll a new character.
Okay. That's another frustrated DM.
Are you kidding, man? That's the scene right out of Dead or Alive. Suddenly there's just a little gust of wind, a few autumn leaves, and next thing you know, ninja.
Hey, Steve, do you remember that? I forget who was DMing at the time, but 2 characters were stealthing to meet each other, but their stealth were so good and perceptions were so awful they stealth past each other.
Yeah.
Number 9, I would really like to know the context of what in the hell happened during this game. +5 to whatever your next roll is, provided it involves that cloud.
Okay.
I have no idea what that could mean.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, quote number 10 was a player that knows he made a bad choice. "I now realize that letting you summon a kraken at will was an extremely poor choice."
I would follow it up with, duh.
Number 11. I would have paid money to sit in a session like number 11's quote. "There is a gay dwarf after me. He wants to climb me like a ladder."
Wow.
Run! Your legs are longer. You can outrun him.
Number 12, the player that was talking to this DM must have had some incredible dialogue between these gaps. It's a 3-sentence quote. "No, you can't detect any magic on the door. No, you can't intimidate the door. No, the door is not inherently evil.
Someone's playing a paladin.
Number 13 is another masterful one from a DM that's had a very bad day. It dies of stress from too much criticism.
That sounds like new YouTube users.
Number 14 must have been some very troubled NPCs. We aren't leprechauns, please don't sell us.
Wow.
Okay, that's a greedy group.
No, number 15 was greedy because he thought he was way more powerful than I bet he was. I'm fairly certain I can stealthily blow up the docks.
Yep, that sounds like one of those famous last words moments.
Yeah, the frick, dude, this isn't Winterfell. Quote number 16. Why is the skeleton having an existential crisis? If I have to explain that to you, you're just not having fun, sir. Quote number 17. Just because I'm a lady doesn't mean I'm going to carry all the food. That's what the dwarf is for.
Okay.
I like the cut of that jib. Quote number 18. Jesse, I bet you're muted.
No, I haven't said anything in a while.
Okay. Quote number 18. The wizard refuses to help you unless you carry him on your back.
Okay, Yoda.
Number 19, that's another frustrated DM. I won't allow you to interrogate him by farting.
This GM doesn't know how to have fun.
Neither did number 20. Sticking your junk into extra-dimensional holes is not diplomacy.
Wow.
Oh, I would have been an evil GM. I would have been an evil DM right there.
Okay, 21 was a guy who definitely had a bad day. You can't set water on fire just because you rolled a critical.
Someone's just asking for too much.
Are you kidding? Number 22.
I just said, hey, I boiled it then.
Dude, number 22 sounds like my kind of player. I summon a pony to distract the dragon.
Okay. I remember one of my friends. The DM actually had to censure the party because they kept abusing the summon monster spell. Well, summon.
Yes.
One of the summon spells. They kept summoning animals and basically using them as cannon fodder and
bait for traps.
Yeah, that just reminds me of that so bad.
Well, there's 3 more here. Quote number 23 is another player who might not quite get the minutia of the game because he said, "Can the fairies sense I'm pissed off?"
Let me roll.
Sounds like a bad day in San Francisco. Quote number 24. I would like to know if this was 2 different people. I throw a large stick at the kobolds. They are very confused. And the final quote here, number 25. This is a player who did not understand their sheet. So I can turn into a fucking dragon, but I can't heal a sprained ankle?
Wizard or sorcerer. Has to be.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a viable question, though. Amazing transmorphic powers. Foiled by a stick.
Using it, train yourself in medicine.
See, the subject of the weekend is Astonishing Ant-Man 1 through 4. These books came out in 2015. The initial writer is Nick Spencer. The artist is Roman Rosansas. The color artist is Jordan Boyd. Letter is V.C. Travis Lanham. And the designer is Idet Winecourt. Astonishing Ant-Man appears to be a continuation. I believe the first issues came out prior to the Secret Wars. Of the ongoing adventures of Scott Lang, who is attempting to form his own specialty security company, post-Avengers, no real special help, in Miami, Florida. And 2 of his current employees are a former supervillain and a current supervillain, I guess you could say. The former one is Grizzly, who is at best a D-list villain. He's a man in a bear suit. The other one is a notorious collaborator with Arnim Zola and the Red Skull, known as the Machine Smith, a specialty cyber hacker who's turned his entire body metallic. If I had to describe this in a nutshell, it looks like they've turned Scott Lang from a burglar and a super scientist that's known to hang out with the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Universe's version of the lovable loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost
that works.
This.
Yeah.
I don't think it was depressing.
Hard.
It's just, it's one of the weird books. It kind of fits in with Spider-Woman lately as to a book where a character is trying very hard to have a relatively normal life, but things keep jumping in the way.
Yeah, but Spider-Man wasn't downing on herself, so...
Spider-Man's not a her.
I thought we said Spider-Woman.
You said Spider-Man. It was a little creepy. It's not like Spider-Man's given birth recently. No, I mean, first of all, the 4 issues have the same kind of beginning and ending where it seems like Scott Lang, for some reason, is in jail post the events of the story he's telling.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating that we didn't get to find out why.
Well, this story began a year ago. I don't know what the finish is of it, and I'm going to say ahead of time that I don't think he was in jail because of anything he necessarily did wrong. I have a feeling he's in jail as part of another job he's working. Because putting him in jail is a little bit too easy of a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably not in a position he very much likes. I mean, having Grizzly as one of his first employees has got to be frustrating because no matter how good Grizzly is, nothing about the man says that he was really meant to defend anything. He's a man in a gigantic bear suit. He's about as close to a second-tier furry as you can get in the Marvel comics.
Loyal,
and he's very loyal. He's definitely not very bright.
Well, he's a guy in a grizzly costume.
Yeah. I mean, the first few issues where it looks like they're defending paintings, it turns out the Machine Smith is running them through a VR training program. And even though Machine Smith is a non-repentant villain, he did add a lot of flair to this story, and he was funny.
Yes, I'll admit that.
I mean, he was very gay in this series, but not in any sort of apologetic or exploitative way. It was just, he was gay because he was gay. It didn't seem like they were really pushing the angle other than how much of an ass he was trying to be all the time. And he really tried, it seemed like. They made it very clear during the first couple of issues that he doesn't care about being a security expert. He just knows this is keeping him out of jail for now.
Yeah.
Let's see, Scott Lang's principal investor in his new security company is a former superhero, Miss Patriot, who's running a retirement home for superheroes. Oh, wow. That reminded me of a Wildstorm series I read a while ago. I don't remember the name of it.
I wonder if Steve Rogers is in that place.
At this point, he could have been at the time period this was going on. I kind of wish we saw more of her in this series because she added a lot of grounding to the story. Now, I know this is post the previous Ant-Man books, and I would really like to go back and read it to find out how one of my favorite young superheroes is alive again, Cassie Lang.
Yeah.
She was Stature in the Young Avengers. She had size-changing powers. She didn't go small very often. She more or less went Kid Giant Man. And I was always a fan of the character. I know she died during one of the last runs of Young Avengers. I was never clear how she came back. And then this was kind of a brutal jumping on point because we found out one of Ant-Man's worst enemies, Darren Cross, stole Cassie Lang's heart for the Pym particles in it.
Yeah, which was pretty messed up.
Oh, dude, I mean, Darren Cross in this series went from kind of D-list supervillain to at least a B just because of how personal he made everything with Scott Lang. Stole her heart. He's still after her, Scott Lang, just for nothing more than being an Ant-Man. I mean, Darren Cross more or less has an issue with Hank Pym, but anything associated with Hank Pym, including the current Ant-Man, is on his hit list. So they're at least elevating the villains here. It's not like they created a new one because they couldn't do it, I guess.
Right.
And, he tried so hard, it looks like, to keep his daughter at arm's length just because he was convinced that simply his existence as Ant-Man was causing her more acrimony than she deserved. He was doing the whole protecting her by staying away thing, except he only stayed away as long as she didn't see him while he was at ant size watching her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a father of and I felt for the guy because he made, I'm not going to say he made a right decision, but it's kind of like Civil War. He at least made a reasonable and rational decision. You know what I mean? Part of the reason why she was targeted was because she kept playing with the Pym particles he brought home. Did anybody catch why Darren Cross is that bright pink color? I didn't understand what the deal with that was.
I thought he was spray painted that way. Or just...
No, they were spray painting him to get rid of the color. I assumed it was some kind of side effect to the heart transplant or something.
Well, I got the feeling he was... I don't know if he needed the heart transplant necessarily, but I get the feeling he was resurrected at some point.
Yeah.
I can't say for what reason I have that feeling. I just, for some reason, I have... Yeah, his son is very clingy. Augustine Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, he was really weird. I do like the fact that because they stole Cassie Lang's heart, the Pym particles are having unintentional side effects. It seems like every time he gets mad, he gets bigger. Every time he calms down, he gets smaller. It's a frustrating problem for anybody who's trying to make a name for themselves, I'm sure. And I really liked the introduction in the first issue, not just of the power broker, but of the hench app he's trying to launch.
Yeah, that was actually quite...
After thinking about that thing, it just reminded me of something that would come out of Venture Brothers, to be honest.
Venture Brothers or...
Batgirl of Burnside. That would have been very prevalent in something like that.
I was going to say... oh, God. We read the book.
Gotham Academy?
No, alternative. The guy that does the Dirty Pair.
Oh, Adam Warren.
Yeah, what was the one with his superhero and that...
Empowered.
Yes, that seems like something that would come out of Empowered.
Quite possibly. Well. I mean, the writer definitely had a sense of humor, and you just kind of had to feel for Scott Lang in the first issue. He's trying to land a gig as a security expert for a museum, and just because somebody wants to test out hench on him, Darren Cross specifically, made it part of his vendetta and sent Whirlwind after him. Whirlwind is not exactly a notable villain, but he's another character who has a very personal interaction with Hank Pym's Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know the history about Whirlwind. I can't remember his real name, but Whirlwind has a serious thing for Janet Van Dyne.
Oh.
Creepy stalker style. So, of course, he has a big beef with Hank Pym. And because of association, that means the current Ant-Man is also on his list.
Wow, so he's just carrying someone else. He's just dealing with everyone else's baggage.
Yeah.
In addition to his own, unfortunately. And Whirlwind had him, man. He was getting ready to kill him until they called off the test. I did like that.
Willing to fork out the cash.
I just like that frame when he got the notification. Whirlwind in costume is staring at his phone. Canceled. What? I was just about to. Oh, 3 new followers.
Yeah. That kind of annoyed me for some reason.
I thought that was
it's very apt for the situation, but they kind of annoy me.
I did laugh a lot at that too when they're like, rate your rate the guy trying to kill you.
All right, that was kind of funny.
Spam.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you rate the difficulty of your supervillain encounter 1 to 10? What? Actually, in looking at that last page where they show him in jail again, it almost looks like his top bunkmate might be Darren Cross. That would suck.
Oh.
I mean, they never show his bunkmate. They really only just kind of give small snippets of him in jail, but that almost looks like Darren Cross up there, doesn't it?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. The second issue, as bad as things were, they got worse. Fast.
Yeah. Extremely fast. This was a tough read for me. I like, not that it wasn't humorous, but man, it was just like every bad day ever.
Yeah. Yeah, the second issue, Grizzly and Machine Smith are accepting a job from Augustine Cross to hack an unknown system. Grizzly was just there as the muscle. It was all Machine Smith's deal. It's kind of... As much as I expected Machine Smith to eventually betray Scott Lang, I didn't expect him to actually do it with the caveat of, okay, I'll pull the job for the money, but you can't bother Scott or his family ever again. That was borderline touching.
Yeah.
And I say borderline just because
completely just to justify himself.
I know. It was just one other reason to do the job to him. And it was even worse by Grizzly trying real hard to stop him from accepting the job in general. It's like a weird odd couple. I could almost read a comic book about Grizzly and Machinesmith trying to decide whether or not they're actually villains.
Yeah. Well, Machinesmith seems pretty convinced.
Yeah. The second issue, let's see, there was that talent agent auditioning a magician on stage. That was painful.
Yeah, I was looking at this guy is way too emo to be nothing more than a normal magician.
Oh, have you ever seen Chris Angel?
Once.
This is the state of magic today, man, I swear. But he finds out that the lady in charge of this new entertainment gig is his ex-girlfriend, a former singing idol and one of the substitute members of the Fantastic Four during his run.
Yeah. Oh, man, and just how it ended.
Yeah.
Or lack of an appropriate ending.
Well, Darla Deering, she was given 2 rings that Ben Grimm used during one of the periods he lost his powers, but still wanted to be the Thing. So she's encased in some kind of stone and has, let's not say the same powers as the Thing, but proportionate powers of the Thing. The only difference is it doesn't cover her head. That might be a little too smothering, I would guess. I've never read the Substitute Fantastic Four. The art style never really hit me. But I'm going to guess that there was a helmet in that suit she probably just never got her hands on. The Thing rings, it's almost a painful callback to the old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Did you know that the Flintstones crossed over with the Thing way back when?
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I believe there was a comic book, but there was also a 70s cartoon of a young Ben Grimm, a teenager, who had a special ring that would cover him in rock so he could be the Thing, and believe it or not, during the cartoon, he had to yell, "Thing ring, do your thing."
Oh my god.
Wow.
That's
painful.
There was so much corn in it, it was coming out of my poop, man. I mean, oh my god. And something else that came out during that story was apparently during his run of the Fantastic Four, Scott Lang beat up Dr. Doom, and that becomes recurring. Right. It's like his glory days of high. It's like his glory days of high school story. It's the one story he always leans on when he's trying to convince himself that he's a superhero.
And, I took on Dr. Doom. Congratulations.
Like his one moment of glory, but I got to give you credit though. If that's your moment, that's a big goddamn moment when you beat up Dr. Doom.
True enough. But eventually you get tired of hearing it.
Yeah. And it turns out they broke up because his daughter came back and Scott Lang kind of stopped everything to redefine himself around his daughter again. Because at this point, she would have been dead about 2 or 3 years before she returned. I mean, I understand his need to reconnect with a family, but yeah, he really should have at least called Darla Deering and told her. Just leaving it flat like that, that's rude.
Yeah, that was kind of the point there.
Yeah, that's why they had some acrimony. As soon as she saw him, she used her Thing rings and tried to beat the hell out of him. And then the magician shows up. It turns out the magician is the son of another D-list supervillain.
Oh, that was a sad story.
Yeah. I do like that he released a bunch of doves and bunnies, and Scott Lang is just, oh, come on, I beat up Dr. Doom, remember? This isn't going to be hard. I mean, look, the guy's sending cute little bunnies after us. Ah! Little genetically modified murder bunnies!
That was a total Monty Python moment for me.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
That was Next Wave, man. That's a total Next Wave move. I still like Lang picked up one of them by the ears. My daughter had one of you guys. I fed you regularly. I don't deserve this. Then the magician starts throwing cards. He cuts Scott Lang and he yells, he's a Gambit knockoff. Oh, that's a playing card. He didn't even invent those things, you know. That's the thing I really appreciate in the 4 issues. It almost seemed like the comic book was making fun of itself. Not Deadpool-esque, but it's just like every trope that is, or every stereotype about comic books has at some point come out during these 4 issues.
Mm.
Including this guy over-explaining his history, the magician.
Oh, God.
Right. Monologuing.
Yeah, he talked about his father going to jail and he was motivated to become a better magician. You know. Do you see why I'm so angry? Yeah, a little better on the motivation. Still a bit weak, but the daddy issues do help. Double thumbs up.
Jumping ahead a bit, but God when Sam Wilson showed up.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was the end of the issue. I mean, it seemed like he solidified things with Darla and at least properly apologized, but it turns out Darla set him up because she's starting a reality show about herself, and her producer thought it would be a good idea to get one of her former love interests involved, so they were followed with a camera drone. I mean, it's one of those things where it seems like he's finally getting some kind of closure in his past relationships. It turns out he's being strung along a bit. I'm not going to say it's necessarily Darla, but she's at least a part of it. So it's a little sad. At least she hired him for the job.
True.
And then it turns out that her production or her publicist was the one who hired the magician to attack and purposefully lose, which doesn't make things better.
Nope.
And I still like that at the end. It's just, sure, it'd be great if I had someone around who I could count on, someone reliable, upstanding, and all of a sudden you hear from above, Ant-Man, and it's Sam Wilson as Captain America. I got a job for you. Yeah, he'll do. It did seem like issue 3 was where he might actually get things back on track, but it still just got worse for the poor man.
Yep.
I just like that. Is this a bad time? Oh, hey, no, sorry. It's good to see you. It's just kind of working through some inner monologue stuff. It almost seemed like he was in a depression spiral. I still like the fact that when Sam asked him to do something, he says, yeah, well, okay, but come on. It's not Captain America, Captain America.
Yeah.
I cannot believe you just said that. Hey, no offense. I mean, I get it all the time, too. It's just, we were roomies at Avengers Mansion. I've seen you in your Human Torch onesie. I'm trying to project my voice more. Oh, it's good. It's good. You're doing great. I see you on TV all the time. I'm like, wow. And I like how you called me soldier. It's the posture, How does he stand up straight like that all the time? Hey, don't ask me. I had scoliosis since I was 9.
Yeah, that whole conversation with the two of them, I was just like, yeah, you can totally feel the whole college roomie vibe.
Well, not just that, but they did bring up a good point that I didn't really connect on, is the two of them are substitute heroes. They're both picking up legacies from other guys who are, at least from a fandom perspective, more important than them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be rough. And then the very first panel, when Sam Wilson is sitting in Ant-Man security and there's Machine Smith putting his fingers into a cross and going, no, 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 the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
It totally was not going to help until he found out, oh no, it's something illegal. Oh, okay, well, I'm fine with that then.
Just like that. I'm not going to help Captain America. Look, I don't care who you are. If I didn't help the hot one with a metal arm, I'm sure as heck not helping you. Oh, no, I'm sure as heck not doing you any favors.
Yeah, which is a callback to the Winter Soldier's service.
I know. How
Steve
sad.
Rogers.
I know. How sad is that when Sam Wilson's got to sit across from a notorious Nazi helping supervillain who doesn't even put him in his personal list of top 2 Captain Americas? I just need you to hack into some shipping records for me. Ah, dang it, I thought it was going to be a drone strike.
Yeah.
I know, and it turns out Sam just wants Scott Lang's help because he wants to steal something from S.H.I.E.L.D. You want to steal S.H.I.E.L.D.'s stuff? No, Scott, wait, and then Machine Smith raises his arm. Oh, well, now I'm in.
Yeah.
Machine Smith was the funniest thing throughout this book. I mean, the fact that he was complaining that he took this meeting instead of picking up his enchilada from the microwave. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, I'm on my lunch break.
Yeah. And in this book is another D-list supervillain who apparently is not the first one, called the Hijacker.
But this
Holy
will make
crap,
more sense.
He made more sense, but it's still like a very low-grade supervillain. The powers he exhibited weren't even his. He stole some nanites from Overdrive, who's another D-list villain. Overdrive had a very unusual but useful ability. He could use the nanites in his system to take any machine and instantly upgrade it. He was a getaway driver for other villains. Hence Overdrive.
So wait, this hijacker?
Hijacker. The ER at the end makes the name.
Yeah, the Hijacker is a B-rate, a knockoff copy of a D-rate villain.
I wouldn't even say he's a B-rate. He's probably closer to an E, frankly. I like that Scott Lang finally found the what was it, the container they were looking for on the ship. He shrunk it down so it's pocket size. He says he's got it. Then the ship starts to list because it turns out Sam Wilson's handwriting is atrocious.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's a 7.
Wait, is that a 7?
What? Do you mean the one you wrote down for me? Oh wait, that's a 7. Should I go back?
Too late.
Yeah, it turns out the cargo container hatched the egg inside, and it's a Giganto, which is a monster from like the Fantastic Four fighting Submariner days of comics. Holy crap. Although the resolution to that, when he just continuously shrunk Giganto down to a manageable size, that was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the fact that the chick's sitting there going, "Oh, cute dog," I'm just like, really?
I'll be honest. I really hope they keep it that size as it is.
I was praying for that myself. I was kind of hoping that in the issues we didn't read, like 6, 7, 8, there's Machine Smith playing with the dog-sized Giganto. I would laugh myself stupid. I think that's awesome.
I think they would have to engineer a pinpark collar, but they have to engineer a collar for it. But yeah, that would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, and at the end, Sam Wilson calls a press conference to cover the theft and put Maria Hill on the spot so she can't come at him. Because at this point, remember, Sam Wilson is not on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s good side. And then she even mentions that Scott Lang is on her bad side now, too. Oh, that's unfair.
Well, I just think that he wasn't already, and, she wanted to make sure that he knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it turns out it was the another test of the Hench app, which is why the hijacker was there, so that the Slug could move in another shipment of drugs while everyone else is dealing with Giganto. And then he finds out that the reason why the Crosses hired Machine Smith to break into a network was because they stole the Hench app and created one of their own called Lackey. Holy crap, dude.
So awesome.
I know, it's all of a sudden you have a supervillain version of Microsoft versus Apple going on.
Again, this so feels like something out of Venture Brothers.
The thing is, though, contemporarily, it's a very good updating of the technology and a very good use of apps as a tool in the writing. I was actually impressed on how well they integrated it, let alone the very likely corporate espionage from all these disparate personalities who are known to do less than scrupulous things in business.
Mm.
And the power broker freaks out and decides it's time to launch 2.0, let alone when he launches 2.0, he does it by using Siri to alert the dev crew that it's going to be a long night. I read that, I just said, of course, Siri, the tool of all evil. And God, the end of the 3rd issue, just when it looks like Scott's starting to feel better about himself, did some actual superheroing, might be a superhero full-time in addition to security. I wouldn't say an ex-girlfriend, but an ex-booty call shows up.
For another booty call.
Yeah, the frickin' second Beetle is back. And I've seen the Beetle before. I saw the point when she took over the suit because, the Beetle, Abner, he's the one who's in the Mach 10 costume for the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
I never really knew anything about her. The fact that she's a supervillain and a lawyer, that makes her almost de facto scary. There's something very evil about a lawyer that's a supervillain.
Yeah. I wonder if she crossed paths with She-Hulk in the courtroom.
The way she was talking, though, I never got the feeling that she did, like, criminal work. It sounds like she does, like, high-priced corporate law. You know?
Well, that's even worse.
That's my thing, yeah. And I do like the fact that she came specifically, basically, to relax and sleep with him just to get some downtime from her law firm. And is, like, mid-sentence, all of a sudden he finds himself...
Didn't, not to get downtime from the law firm, she quit because they didn't want to give her a raise.
Well, I don't know about quit. She walked away from the negotiations. Lawyers have a different kind of work schedule when they bill for hourly instead of, when they're working on an hourly basis like you and me.
Mm.
They actually get to call their own hours as long as they submit the requisite amount of billing per month. So her walking out of the meeting doesn't mean she's fired. It just means she's done with that particular meeting. But still, though, I like the transition. He's mid-sentence basically saying he's got business, and then all of a sudden the next thing you see is him rolling out of bed with his helmet still on for some reason. Wearing nothing but his boxer briefs. And she just wants to be zipped up. I mean, you got the feeling that he was literally nothing more than a toy that just doesn't happen to vibrate for her. Then again, considering all the ants, he might. I don't know.
I don't know. He could do some interesting things with the pin particles, so...
What, you talking about shrinking and growing, maybe?
I'll let your imagination run with that.
Well, there's a reason why he's called Mr. Adequate now. Then, because of the booty call, he shows up late to a job where he expects his other workers to be, and it turns out Machinesmith and Grizzly are at some kind of party in a conga line about a mile from the venue. And according to Machinesmith, that's close enough. I won't get into the meat of it because it's basically another Z-list supervillain attack, this time via the Lackey app, which you just know post this issue, Scott Lang's life is going to get worse now that you've got two competing supervillain henchman apps.
Well, especially with one of them about to go 2.0.
Yes. I did like the fact that when he came down here and started talking to his ex-girlfriend who hired him for the job, he finds out that she's dating a comedian. A Marvel version of a real-life comedian I've seen on VH1 and stuff, Paul Scheer. As it turns out, he's also a one thing I will say, though, the voice. The villain that showed up in issue 4, I got the distinct feeling that's a Kevin Smith joke.
You know what? I believe it.
He's large like Kevin Smith. His power is to basically be able to command people to do what he says. He talks about basically his business being talking all the time. I think this was a Kevin Smith joke. That's personal feeling. I could be completely off on that, but that's what I saw.
Yeah.
I almost imagined Kevin Smith actually cosplaying this.
But basically, Scott Lang and his daughter have her first confrontation since she had successful heart transplant surgery to replace the one she was robbed of. And as much as I feel for the guy, she was right. It would have been more helpful if he was around, considering how much assistance she would have needed getting used to a new body part.
Yeah, as much as that's true, to call him a stalker, however, I thought that was a really rough...
She's generally upset, so her emotions are just...
Calling him a stalker was a reach, but it's not an unreasonable reach,
True.
It is more or less what he did. He just did it without the usual sexual intention the word has gained over the years. And she was upset. I mean, it's got to be rough because during the vast majority of Scott Lang's history in Marvel Comics, she started out, her character was basically toddler age when she started out. And during that entire period, he had been her hero. Everything he's done, including stealing the original Ant-Man suit, was because he was trying to get the medicines to get her better and the money he needed to help take care of her. And she always looked up to him regardless of what his legal status was. The fact that he became Ant-Man just made him more of a superhero in her eyes, and this is really the first time in her life that he's let her down. And it just happened to be a monumental letdown on top of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the last couple of pages have to do with the new Giant Man getting used to his abilities, too, and I can almost see the friendship that's going to bud between these two guys who just can't get it right. Both of which are picking up different ends of Hank Pym's legacy. I'm curious to read the next issues. As far as recommendations, it's kind of middling for me, because as much as I think this is a good comic book, this isn't one you can really read unless you have a better than average knowledge of Marvel history.
Yeah, I have to say I was, especially, I mean, the villains showing up and everything else, okay, but...
Well, I don't say that because of the villains do a very good job of expositioning themselves into a corner, frankly. It's almost like 70s style writing. They're talking about everything going on, for frick's sake.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, to really get into this story, you need to know Scott Lang better than anybody who's just gone to see the Ant-Man movie. You need to know about how rough his life has been. They do explain it in certain periods here, but there's nothing quite like actually going back and reading it, because all you're getting is these minor details, and then you start to form a picture about the guy.
Mm-hmm.
The writers were effective in setting that up. However, I still feel like I'm only getting part of the story because I haven't read a whole lot of comics with Scott Lang, It's like his relationship with Darla Deering. Yes, they explained it very well in these 4 issues, I still feel like I need to know. I should know more about the history to make more of a personal impact in my head, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
The villains in there, Grizzly and Machine Smith, I've always been aware of them as characters. I've never been very aware of them as far as their histories. Again, very funny characters, but I don't have a whole lot of history to draw from. In Machine Smith's case, that might be more of an advantage, though, because as funny as they're trying to portray him, I might feel differently if I'm way too aware of how well he worked with Arnim Zola and the Red Skull.
Yeah, or the fact that he even moonlighted for them, I swear. That was...
Yeah, the line about Nazis getting jealous over his work history. Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, I couldn't recommend this to a whole lot of people other than heavy comic book readers, personally.
Yeah, I had to disconnect between the humor and the seriousness that Scott Lang is going. I find it a juxtaposition between the two of those, so it didn't really gel well with me. I felt it kind of a chore to read through it.
That I thought was the best part, personally, because it is the short version. Usually comic book characters, they go through peaks and valleys in very wide swaths of storyline. It could be a year between the period where they're at their very highs to where they're at their very lows. And Scott Lang went through that within a matter of about 20 pages per.
I think part of that is actually my lack of history with the characters involved, because listening to you explain it felt far more entertaining than when I actually read it myself.
Well, as much as I would say this isn't a general recommendation for me, I do think one of the biggest strengths of the book was the way it was written. It's one of those books where it's very easy to pick up and start reading because you get very fast emotional arcs, but that also unfortunately makes it a very easy book to leave behind if those arcs come so quickly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's like I kind of want to know what happens, but at the same time it was pretty much a roller coaster the entire way through, so it's kind of like,
I can't say it was something I would normally find in my pull list. I would like to finish out this first major story to find out how the fight between Lackey and Hench draws through. But that doesn't necessarily mean I have to read the story of Ant-Man, other than I'm just sure that this will both sides will keep throwing supervillains his way to prove that they can work, because goodness knows, if you're going to try and henchap, your first target should not be Thor.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a good show of capabilities at that point. So, yeah, I'm not going to say it's a bad book, but it's very hard to know who to give this to. Yeah, it would have to be a bunch of bespectacled guys around a table, frankly.
You could get away with giving it to the average person as long as they're okay with because really I think its strong point is still the humor. But
yeah, I totally agree.
I don't know. It hit me in a good way. It just didn't hit me in a way that would make me add it to a pull list of my own. It's an adequate enough book. It doesn't hit a whole lot of high notes. I guess the only reason I would personally keep reading it is because I would love to find out if Cassie Lang gets back into any sort of superheroics. She was a very stalwart character when I read about her in the Young Avengers, and I'm almost disappointed that she's normal at this point.
Right.
So, that's my personal dig. You guys have anything you want to add?
No, I think I said my piece.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Next week. We can still have a recording next week because the weekend afterwards I'm at Fanime, so we'll have to be off.
I will be out of town next week.
Oh, you're out? Okay. What about you, Jesse? Are you out of town next week?
No, I'm available.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do something?
Sure.
You want to go get ice cream with me? Put on that nice
buying?
Yellow number? Hell no, I ain't buying. This is Dutch, man. I'm a cheap date. Let's see. I kind of wonder if since it's going to be the two of us, maybe it'd be a good idea to do a part 2, get into a book we've read before and find out if the next character arc was any good. Were there any books you thought about revisiting?
Oh, now you gotta make me think.
Because we've read a bunch of fun books, but it's hard to know if that kind of fun would continue. God, it's like going backwards. We have read so many unusual things in addition to.
What about Miss Marvel then?
Oh, that's actually interesting. 5 through 8 of the first Miss Marvel run.
Yeah, that was a really fun one.
We ended in the middle of her team up with Wolverine. Yeah. Who is a character as much as I like to try to take seriously. Ever since we did that critical hit, all I can hear is Elmer Fudd in the back of my head whenever I read his books now, and it's really killing me. I've ruined the character for myself. I didn't know that could happen. Holy cow.
You know what? At least now I don't have to put Steve Blum's voice to his dialogue anymore.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if that's where you want to go, I'm amenable to that. That sounds like a decent idea, I think. So, right. 5 through 8 of Miss Marvel, the 2014 run, I think?
Yep.
All right. So that'll be next week. Next week will be Miss Marvel Part 2. Thank you for tuning in. I invite you to roll with us again, and hopefully you've enjoyed the breaks and you've enjoyed the different shows. We're going to, let's see, as a group, we're going to San Diego Comic-Con this coming July 21st through 24th. And then our other group assignment so far is Great American Comic-Con coming up, I believe is December 3rd and 4th this year. I'm sorry, I'm very bad with calendars. But, let's see, yeah, December 3rd and 4th in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I recently got an email that says that they don't expect us to be exhibitors this year because they expect us to be part of the show. Which is almost intimidating.
Yeah.
But I as much as Las Vegas is not my kind of town, I did have a lot of fun after I got through my terror of talking to different legends. And this time around, did you guys see the guest list for Great American this year?
No. Oh, it's the 3rd and 4th of December.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th of December.
Okay.
Wow, they announced a bunch of new guests on, May 1st. And so far, the guest list is almost chaotic, frankly. They've added Frank Brunner, who was one of the first artists on Doctor Strange. Let's see. They added J. David Spurlock. He was, he's worked with creators like Frank Frazetta, Jim Steranko, Joe Kubert, Carmine Infantino. He's an author and historian and filmmaker. The daughters of Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta passed away, but it's $4. Holly, Sarah, Brittany, and Rachel will be there. I have no idea how I'm going to conduct a panel surrounded by women. I would probably get flabbergasted because I am not good with women. You've seen me attempt to flirt. It's not good. Joe Rubenstein, one of the first... he inked the first Wolverine solo story in limited series. Bob Wyasek, he worked on the mid-'70s in several books, including those of Carmine Infantino, John Romita Jr., George Perez, and more. Bob Camp, the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Rich Buckler, he's worked and drawn covers on various characters, and he's a co-creator on Deathlock. Alan Bellman, dude, he's going to be a special kind of thing. Alan Bellman is one of 2 surviving artists from the Captain America comics. And when I say Captain America, he did Captain America when they were known as Timely Comics.
Oh, wow.
Wow. There's a time capsule right there.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's in addition to Len Wein and John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton. Bob Layton is probably one of the few names we haven't mentioned on the show. If you go back to like 80s and 90s Iron Man comics, his art is all over them.
Covers mostly, I think.
No, Bob Layton was an interior man.
Oh, okay.
Up until the period where Iron Man was in movies, if you thought about Iron Man as a character, more than likely the art style you think of is Bob Layton's. He was notorious during that period. He was one of Iron Man's central artists. So I think we just mentioned about a dozen guests that I've got to find a way to prepare for in the next few months. Because it's official. They did ask me specifically to host panels again. They liked what happened last year.
Nice.
At least they asked you ahead of time this time.
Yeah, thanks. I won't pee myself as much. So we invite you to roll this again next week. Again, it's going to be Part 2 Miss Marvel, issues 5 through 8. Thank you very much. Have a great week. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Don't jerk and drive. Take care, people. Yeah, I'm only going to drip a little bit of pee this time.